Welcome all and welcome back to Film Club. And now both Sandy and Jay are back on the right side of the pond, the wrong side of the pond. Though I don't know.
The best side of the pond.
The best
side of the pond.
At the moment, maybe.
At the moment.
50-50 split, maybe. But
I
yes,
enjoy the other side of the pond very much.
So, travels, how are you, Sandy?
I'm not jet lagged yet. If it's gonna hit me, it'll be tomorrow or maybe not. But really happy to be home. But so glad to have spent some time over in the UK. Jay, how you doing?
You got away. Actually, you got away with the away from the storm. The storm yesterday was brutal here. It was.
I flew through it, though.
Yeah.
Just for about 5 minutes. I did fly through it. Let me tell you.
What a movie to watch when you're flying through a storm, huh?
I made the decision to not watch it on the plane. Just
I did.
Fair enough.
I did say, Jay, we might have had to do us two and then Sandy from an island. It is the will.
With some strong Wi-Fi, hopefully.
Yeah. I'm here, save me. But Jay, yes, how are you?
I'm well. No complaints. A bit of a busy week, in real life. But happy to be enjoying a nice, easy weekend here. So ready to talk about this movie.
Yeah. So Castaway, Tom Hanks. It's just Tom Hanks, really. This is Jay. This is your pick. So, and I think we both all of us were like, when you put it on, I guess, and then you forgot you put it on because when it got picked out of the wheel, then you were like, I can't remember why I put it on.
Yeah, 100%. I was kind of not shocked, but it was like, damn, was this really my pick? Like, I've always liked this movie and I've seen it so many times. I was just saying backstage, I think maybe the amount of times I've seen it has almost made me get a little bit jaded towards how good it is or how much I really like it. So when it came up, I was kind of surprised it was my pick. And then, after rewatching it for I don't know how many, times it was, but it's been a while since the last rewatch. I think that's what's given me a more fresh kind of perspective on it. I'm really happy I put this on there. I really like this movie. I had a lot of fun watching it again. Not that it's the lightest in terms of tone or theme or anything like that kind of fun, but in terms of just how well it's done. And it just kind of makes you think a lot. My wife sat down with me to watch the second half of it. And even then we started having a lot of conversation. Like, can you imagine this? Or imagine the perspective you would have, afterwards, after all this kind of stuff. All that kind of thought-provoking nature of it was just really interesting. And then again, just a well-done movie. So I'm happy this was on there and I'm happy it came up. And it has a little bit of a Christmas theme to it, which was on cue.
We said we wanted
right on cue.
Slight Christmas.
Not much, not very much. Not like a Die Hard style Christmas movie, but it definitely had a little bit there. So that was kind of nice, tied in well.
Yeah. So this, I'd say, remembering the movie without remembering, like watching the movie, I remember, I suppose, the midsection, the 3 years and then the after 4 years and then the ending. This beginning bit, all of it, I completely forgot. I think you kind of remember in your head the main storyline and this kind of the build up to it, except for the, of course, spoilers, people, the plane crash. I completely passed me by, even to the bit I like the first bit when he's like the FedEx delivery is going to the crossroad, takes the thing to the woman with the wings, around her, I suppose, farm or whatever. Completely forgot that. Did it? I was just like, I don't remember this. I don't remember this bit. So it was good to go, what's going on? And then of course it coincides with that parcel, like I'm going to Russia. as well. And then, of course, FedEx is delivering it, and the same delivery driver then gives it to like, it looks like a family restaurant, doesn't it? And
Yeah,
then
something like that.
Then that parcel gets delivered again by a kid to Tom Hanks, who's kind of, I suppose, I don't know what you would call, like, I suppose, like mid-management. He's kind of out there to
Definitely middle management.
yeah,
and like clearly a go-getter trying to drill sergeant his way higher. And he's obviously, higher in terms of like the corporate ladder. Like you can tell he's putting in the full effort to get, the offices, no matter where they are around the world, in order, in line, delivering on a timely manner so that it can elevate his career. Very driven, that whole thing.
Well, you can see, like, you can see straight, like, it's a new, I suppose, depot. But this is like, even when they that kid goes running through and one of the policemen goes to stop him for a check. So this is film 2000. So I'm guessing this is a bit earlier what the idea was, and it's supposed to be kind of when Russia kind of opened up to the Western. So I'm guessing it's like
early 90s.
5. Yeah, so I think at some point they say
maybe
about 95. I think I caught the year 95 somewhere in that very beginning scene, which makes sense because then the time on the island brings you to about the year 2000. So I think that's kind of what they were going for. Start the story back a little bit to be in the present day of the movie release.
It's supposed to be the fall of the Berlin Wall, and going on to that, it's supposed to be. So it does make sense why FedEx are now, we need to make this a stronghold for us. It's like that. It's like trying to get their foothold as
exactly
in
a new place
Russia.
to expand.
Now,
but I completely.
I was going to say, since you didn't remember it, I remembered this part of the film because he is definitely what we would call a workplace efficiency manager. Like, there are these people who go around and make sure that, all of the, franchises / field offices are working up to par, and to always, always, always try to be faster, quicker, more efficient, and cheaper. And he's that guy. I remember that because I kind of admire checklists and clocks and time frames and those sort of things. So I kind of thought the beginning was really cool when I had seen it before. But again, I think I had seen this film a few times in the background while doing other things, and not really just sat down and looked at this film like I did last night. And really surprised. Like, I don't think it made an impression on me previously. But after watching it last night, it certainly made an impact on me. I'm glad you recommended it, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to hear that. And for me, similar to Stasis, I also kind of forgot about the entire first 20 minutes of this film. My memory really picks up and I've seen this film, I don't know how many times, and I've seen it in its entirety as well. But it's one of those movies that, again, I know we always say this, but it is one that was always on TV growing up. So the more times that you kind of tuned into it, it's always either at the plane crash scene, because that's where the commercials, end and it picks back up on a scene, or it's on the island already. So that section of the movie was so, burned into my memory. Whereas the first 20 minutes, I feel like I've missed so many times over. So yeah, I kind of totally forgot about the first beginning as well.
Like, when I think it's just said, like, when the first flight, and he's with Chuck, Tom Hanks's character is with that guy, and they're talking about his wife got cancer, right? Like they're asking, and I was like, I don't remember him. He was in the plane crash, and I thought it was that scene. I was like, did it get off, or did they go?
I did the same thing. I'm like, is the plane crash this early? I did the same.
Where's the woman go? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I got really confused. I was like, I just don't remember him on that, because I was like, then in my head I was like, but they haven't introduced Helen Hunt. And I was like,
right,
I'm sure they do. And I just completely raveled up into my brain. I was like, I don't remember this movie, this first bit. So yeah, it was good. So yeah, we get the kind of, from there we do get then that bit, we find out Chuck's friend, I can't remember his name.
It's slipping my mind.
He's got cancer. It's a nice back and forth. It's kind of like, you kind of get the dynamic there between their friendship. They're quite open. And then of course, Helen Hunt's character, I can't remember her name, because this is where you forget.
Kelly.
Kelly.
Kelly. She's I'm guessing going for a scientific doctorate or something like that.
I think at the end we find out. I think she's going for a doctor. I think she wants to be a professor. So she's at the moment when he gets back from this trip to Russia, she is like copying her dissertation and all that, and that's when they meet up again after this first trip. And I do actually like the kind of setup in this beginning scene. So it's nice to see it again because you do get a lot of background in terms of both of their work ethics, how they kind of are. Obviously, he's a caring person. You see that with his friendship with the guy and offering the doctor that he knows and all that kind of thing. Like he wants to help that guy and his wife who has cancer. And obviously, you can tell there's a lot of love between these two. They have that nice little scene of them having a little Christmas dance in the office, all that. So that was all nice. And then very quickly, we move on to the dinner scene where, all the family's together. They're doing a Christmas dinner. And you start to realize
Christmas movie then.
We can call it one. It's as close as we might get. The next one's Serpico, so we only got 2 more after that. So it might be the closest we get.
We're gonna call it.
That's it. But you get the idea that he's a bit of a workaholic, and when the duty calls, he answers. There is no "it's Christmas, I'm putting it off" type of thing, which again just sets a lot of good background, I think, for everything that ensues.
But it's because of other people. It's because he cares so much that other people get their stuff,
especially that time of year.
Which is a little different from like your typical workaholic kind of characterization versus he okay, he's not a firefighter, he's not a doctor, he's not a police officer, but gosh darn it, he's going to make sure the packages get there. So you kind of forgive that, and I think she does it to some degree.
Now I brought up a picture of that, a part of it of the dinner. Now you're gonna have to tell me, what is that?
It's a violation.
I didn't even know what the hell that was, Stacey. It looks like marshmallows on top. I wasn't even sure what that was.
So down south, this is horrendous. It is a violation.
What is it? I was like, what? It wobbled but didn't wobble. I was like, what is it?
They put marshmallows on top of sweet potatoes and bake it, and it's just dreadful.
Oh, it's like a sweet potato pie, but not. It's in a ceramic.
And normally I would say I apologize to all my friends down south. No, I don't. No, this is an absolute abomination of a holiday dinner, putting marshmallows on sweet potatoes. So.
Oh my god!
Yeah, now that you say it, I am familiar with that one, and it's something.
What, is they whipped with cream like inside? So it's just like I was just like, what is that?
They're mashed up with condensed milk. So you've got like what you would call like halfway clotted cream. And then a ton of brown sugar, and then marshmallows baked on top. It is, I don't like sweet potatoes anyway, but all of that, nope. No.
Yeah, I'm a pass on this one myself.
It's a savory sweet, but this is the thing, because he's got savory on his dinner. So that's why I got confused of what it was. I was like, sorry, just literally the foodie.
You are right to be confused about it. You are absolutely right to be confused. Okay, Abe, you don't get the American obsession with sweet potatoes. It's one of the few native. Okay, you're going to get a history lesson now. One of the few native vegetables in the United States was the potato, and the sweet potato brought back by Sir Walter Raleigh to Queen Elizabeth I when he made his first expeditions here. So it's one of our native veggies. We don't have that many, like corn.
And
I know I've had a sweet potato.
It's fine. Yeah, sweet potato's fine. I'd prefer regular potatoes, to be honest with you. But sweet potato's fine, But if I ever get the option of sweet potato fries, sweet potato this, that, the other thing, or regular, I'm always going regular. It's all right. It's I as an American, I can even say I don't really get the hype over it. But my wife's a big fan of sweet potatoes. She always prefers sweet potatoes. So it's kind of hit or miss.
They are slightly healthier, let's say.
That is what I've always heard.
We've turned this into a food show.
More fiber, yes.
Yeah, I've never looked into it, but I have heard that.
I don't mind it. I don't mind a sweet potato, to be honest. I don't like a 50-50 mix.
Yeah, they're fine, but I'm not choosing it over regular potatoes.
This is going to become a the only option, pizza discussion.
Pineapple.
Yeah, not for me.
Never.
Fight, chat, fight. But anyway, back to move. So from this, he gets a very concerned. Quickly. Gets a concerned look on his face because his beeper's gone off.
Yeah.
So there's a delivery emergency or something. We don't know really what it is. He's has to get to the plane. There is a he even gets to it like he's very. They've told him what to do. He's got to get there. He's like, we've got to do. To exchange presents, we've got to do this in the car. You've got to be late. There's a schedule, and I will keep to that schedule. And even when he gets to like the airport, he's like, 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. I only need 2 minutes. And that's it. So even like him, like having that delay, he's very stickler for protocol. This is what it is.
Specifically time is a theme. He has a little monologue about it in that Russia scene with the FedEx warehouse, and we'll hear that come up later on, on the island, all that. So time and not what is the way he says it? Something along the lines of not committing the sin of wasting time, or committing the sin of not respecting time. It's a theme he has.
Yeah.
Now, so go back to that picture really quick.
Oh,
since you put it up, it's one of the points I wanted to share. You notice, look at his face. So Tom Hanks gained weight.
Yep. I talked about this with my wife.
For these scenes to look kind of so that when he loses weight in the island scenes, so that it looks like he lost more weight than he really did. So he didn't want to go like skeletal, and he really doesn't quite, but he gained weight here to give the illusion of being a bigger guy, so you could see the change while he was on the island. I just want to point that out because it's a good picture, because you kind of see his face and his neck. And
this is probably the chubbiest you see from any movie, really.
It was funny because my wife, when she finally sat down to watch this with me, it was after the 4 years later section, so he already makes the drastic physical appearance change. And she's like, wow, he must have lost a lot of weight for this. I'm like, yeah, he probably lost some weight. I'm like, but if you see him in the beginning of the movie, I'm like, he's actually really big. He's got like a little bit of an extra kind of dad bod. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure he gained more weight. Like, I'm almost positive the director or the producers would have told him, put a few extra pounds on than normal. That way we can make it look that more drastic. So it 100% had to have been the case.
He probably had that whole thing. I'll clear the table, guys.
That's got to be one of the fun parts of a body transformation in Hollywood, because having to get all ripped up and like that sucks. But being able to just pack on a few pounds, that's got to be so fun and easy. Just pizza, burgers, the whole thing.
Dreadful.
Don't twist my arm. More ice cream.
Double cream. Why not?
Versus like 12 raw eggs in a gym session every couple hours a day. Like, that's got to be the fun kind of body transformation.
So in the car, it's kind of sweet, this bit in the car. They go through, of course, he has to rush getting the Christmas presents. So he's already exchanged hers, and then she exchanges his main present, I suppose, is like a timepiece. It's a pocket watch that is being passed through the generations on her side, and it's got a picture of her inside. And again, it's all about time. This is like this movie has got that reference all the way through it. And then, of course, it's kind of like he's done it because he's too busy. But then you quickly get the other twist of like, hands how. I can't remember the other.
It was a very nice journal, actually. It seemed like a very nice leather-bound journal with gold trim pages. So that part was cool. And then it was like a beeper, which she was obviously like, I don't really want a beeper. And then it gets even worse when they get to like the hand towels.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you're just terrible to shop for. And then he goes off, and then quickly turns around with the main present, and it's obviously an engagement ring. Well, we assume it is like that. The size of the box or that, and he even says, you've got to wait until New Year's, because that's his promise. He will be back for New Year's. So that is his promise. He will be back. And of course, she she's like, I think she just says, I'm terrified. Yes.
I'm terrified.
Because one thing we skipped at that dinner scene was actually there's a kind of joking thing about how he jokes with her about her failed previous marriage. So that comes up at the family table. So
I missed that.
Yeah. So he makes some joke about like, her failed marriage with the felon. And then she snaps back, playfully, like he wasn't a felon. He was a lawyer, all this. And then a kid on the end of the table is like, I didn't know Kelly was married. So like, they really set that up too, because it kind of leads into her hesitation to want to marry him. and then it'll come back again later in the movie, I think, in a little theme that they went with that we'll talk about then. But yeah, so she had a failed marriage with a lawyer previously, which then I think comes to show her hesitation and the fact that she says, like, I'm terrified, which he's very understanding. He kind of leaves by saying, like, just hold on to it, open it when I get back. We'll talk about it then, type of thing. Which, I think without that part almost looks like, why wouldn't she want to marry him? Like, this seems like a weird response, but with that in it, it's like, okay, the audience can understand why she's having this kind of, timid response to it and why he's so patient with it, which I thought, again, was nice.
So then we get, was it FedEx 88, I believe, if that's memory, and he's off for the doomed flight. Now, most people know I was in aviation, and they do kind of settle it at the end of when I was watching it with my girlfriend. Is I was like, but I don't understand how it went down. There's got to be a reason. I got really frustrated. But at the end, they go, it's a mystery. And I was like, oh, you bastards.
They also say it could be some hazmat materials that weren't properly labeled. So they're kind of throwing in a little dig at the people who don't label their packages correctly.
It's weird because when they're up there, he's asleep. He's like, he's off things. He's near the jump seat. And then he's literally a little bit of turbulence. And then very quickly we go into a little bit of madness, I suppose, for a good 5 minutes. And I don't mind this scene because you don't really see much. It's just you see the cabin pressure. You kind of like he gets looking in. They kind of give him the like oxygen respirator. And then he's kind of goes back. They get down to where the air pressure, is going to be sufficient enough, but then it just goes things, and you can see him. I think they're like talking to Haiti, a control. I think that's Tahiti. Where they're heading. Tahiti.
I think they say Tahiti. But okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for just one quick second. He's leaving from the FedEx hub in, I think the hub is in
Memphis. Yeah,
Memphis, whatever.
Keep saying they're from Memphis, but I'm not sure.
From Memphis,
How the heck would they be going from there to across the Pacific?
I didn't know there were direct flights. Well, I mean, I guess it's a FedEx flight, so maybe they can make up their own. But
I guess,
but I thought that was a weird flight path as well.
To go. Like, you would think they might set this like in, I don't know, San Francisco in order to move it over to, the Pacific. But okay, there's a little potential continuity issue there, so I don't want to draw on it. Hello, Lance. How are you? Good to see you in chat.
It's like that. Oh, it's got it on
The woman at the end is Laurie White. My second novel is dedicated to her.
Oh, really?
Wow. She plays the artiste.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The one with the life-saving package.
Ooh.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to get there.
Yeah, that is very cool.
So it goes all out of control. Then it looks like they get control, and then this is where aviation head kind of went spiraling off because I didn't know what actually happened. And no, you don't really know. It just plummets. You can see it's in a spin. There's no real explosion. One of the co-pilots has already been kind of crushed. Kind of like, but he got hit off. Like saying came off. He got.
I think he was standing up to try to get Tom Hanks's character his life vest to just kind of check on him. Not even check on him, like warn him and get him like, "Here's your life vest." And as that's happening, the plane does, I think, a bit of a nosedive. So he kind of goes up, smashes his head on the door frame above him, and then it's kind of downhill from there for him.
Yeah, and then I like the next bit, like when the impact of the water. I feel this is really quite done because it's quite close to Tom Hanks's character that you don't really know what is going on. I think they filmed this quite in a perspective that you're lost of what has actually happened. I think that is actually quite good. It is supposed to be a confusing scene whilst you're watching it because you don't know what is going on. You just know that they've crashed, and how it's quickly done from the perspective he's sleeping, goes and freshens up, and then all hell,
and then just boom, the door opens. He's feel like he's getting sucked out of it. And no, I agree. I really like the way this entire scene from that bathroom point till he wakes up on the island. The whole, even like in the ocean, how you're just seeing glimpses of him when the lightning flashes. because that's what it would be, pitch black out there. You wouldn't be able to see anything. So between that, the plane chaos, all of that, I really liked how they filmed it, because it is tough to make out exactly what's going on. The camera's all over the place. It's cutting back and forth. It's zoomed in angles on his facial expressions, things like that. Lights flickering, like you said, when the plane actually hits the water, him trying to get the raft to inflate and go up, all of it. It's just so chaotic. And that is, if you're in that spot, and hopefully nobody ever is, you got to imagine it's just a whirlwind of what the hell is going on. I can't make sense of anything happening right now. This is surreal in the worst kind of way. So I really liked visually how they put that together with the camera. And
well, it's even the I like on top about the noise. Like, you can still hear the aircraft engine in the background until they visually show it to us. But you can see, it's literally that, and he's trying to kind of, dear life, don't let go of this the inflatable raft. He's literally, no, please, like that. And of course, whilst that in the background, we got like some debris on fire. So there had to be there has been an explosion, but then we've got on top of that, it's going down, and he's clinging on in really turbulent waters, let's say that. And then you've got the extreme of the aircraft going down, but the visuals of the lightning as well.
You're just getting these little flashes that allow you to see something, but not everything, which again, I just thought really well done.
I thought so too. In fact, with the life raft, sometimes you see these films and these kind of hokey situations where, it's just completely unbelievable that someone would have survived. But the fact that they do keep focusing on him, kind of wrapping the life, the straps of the life raft around him to hang on to it, that's how okay, it's mildly plausible that he could survive, because you're focusing in on the life raft, and that's going to pull him up to the surface. So
they didn't do a Temple of Doom, no.
No, Indy, no. No.
Yeah, but like, even to that, like, when when they do it, I like how they, with the of course the sea is uncontrollable at this time because of the lightning and the weather conditions, but like they pan out and he's tiny. I like it because he's like, literally there's like massive waves around him, and he's literally a speck, really. I like that. They do this a couple of times with the when he's back at sea, and I thought, I like it. It's good. But then
it's such a, just like a stack of just ultimate nightmare scenarios. Obviously the plane crash is a nightmare scenario. Being lost at sea is another nightmare scenario. It's like the whole thing together is just like sets up this, oh my God, can you imagine like the horror that would be going through somebody having to experience this? Just it's a really intense scene, and it just really strikes a lot of thought while you're watching it. Like, oh my God, this would be awful. I'd rather almost just like go out immediately, because what a horrible nightmare that would be.
It's a lot of fears.
Awful.
It's the fear of being alone.
Yep. That, right? That too. Once he gets to the island, another nightmare scenario. Like, the movie is really just nightmare scenario after nightmare scenario.
Being alone and
crazy.
And when you think about surviving on an island, what could be a very slow and painful death, which makes him contemplate things later in the film. There are a lot of people's worst fears, spiders, crabs, etc. In this film, and yet kind of balancing that against what really can be a beautiful location and quote paradise.
Right.
And these are the things I didn't think of the first couple of times that I just casually watched this film, but then watching it now, it made me really think about the creativity that went into this. And speaking of the creativity, we've not mentioned, this is a Robert Zemeckis film.
Yes, which I never realized all this time. I'm like, wow, really? When I saw his name pop up, I'm like, no kidding. I had no idea this was one of his films.
This is a Robert Zemeckis film, and one of the things that I think is characteristic of his films is, and again, didn't notice it in this one, is, weaving in the musical theme, into the film. And I guess I never realized there was music to this film before. And I kind of like the kind of background theme and the sound. And so to me, it like, yes, I was surprised when I saw Bob Zemeckis, and then I was like, no, this kind of has a little bit of that flavor. Okay, not like a Back to the Future, but a little bit of that flavor. This was not a book, by the way. There is a book called Castaway, but it is not this Castaway. The screenplay was written by Robert Boyles, and it was, as we said earlier, released in 2000. It was filmed on the island of Manuriki in Fiji, and it is an uninhabited small island of about 100 square acres. So it is the island you saw him traversing. There's no CGI there. No one made it smaller. That is the island. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny you point out the music, because I thought that as well. These spots where you get me, because there's not music throughout the entire thing. And I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly from this watch, especially on the island, there's not a ton of music. There is in spots, but when he's back home and before he leaves, there's more, the type of background score you'd expect in a film. And it's all good music, don't get me wrong, but I liked the way they kind of balanced the solitude of the island to not have as much of it. But once he gets back home and, when he's kind of talking to, well, we'll get to those parts, but some of the music is really nice and really like beautiful little uplifting kind of melodies and things like that. So it was really well done the way they put music in the spots it needed to be in. And it was quality score as well.
Cool. Yeah. So back to the thing. So he's hit a rock in night. He's climbed, kind of clawing himself up it, isn't he? Until we now get to daytime, and he on the island.
And he's gotta find water. He's thirsty.
Yeah, so he doesn't do that first. He can't. The first thing he does is picks up all the FedEx.
Oh, he does. Yeah,
yeah. He's like goes around picking up the kind of all the FedEx, and is it this point? I believe he does it, and he comes across our symbol straight away, near enough, doesn't he? So he gathers, he gathers them all up and puts them in a little pile. And again, it's his work ethic. They've got to be delivered. I always think that. I always say, like, his first point, like, it's not like I think most people would go straight into let's have a look.
What can help me?
Am I in a inhabited blah 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 island? He goes straight for let's make sure the box is okay for delivery.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and I've always took it a bit as well as like, there's a chance at any point whatever's in these packages is going to help me too. So I feel like part of it is a little bit survivalist too, of whether it's even just the cardboard for starting a fire, whatever it may be, making a bed, as we see a little later on, or the content of the packages themselves. A little bit of gathering, like, all right, if I do get out of here, we'll deliver these packages. And at the same time, if I don't get out of here, whatever the hell's in them could potentially help save me here. So
yeah, and it's also probably the fact you're going to think, especially probably now, but probably even back then, I'm not alone. I'm not going to be here that long. You're always going to have that hope.
You'll find me.
Horrific. Right. Yeah, there's going to be. Yeah, I can't be in the middle of nowhere.
So I played this game with myself. What would I have done? Right. What would I have done? Well, I certainly would have gathered as much as I can. And yes, with my good work ethic, I would have thought I'm going to bring these packages home. But then in my brain, I would have said, okay, I'm going to hold off. Not particularly for what could help save me, but to give myself something to look forward to. I would wait as long as I could to open maybe one package and then another. You know what I'm saying? Like if you start to think you're going to be on this island for a long time and, oh my God, there's no books, what would Sandy do? Then you have to have something to look forward to. And so I think I would have said, okay, I'm going to kind of put these in order and maybe give myself a treat every 2 weeks and open a box. So this is where your brain starts to go when you're thinking about being in this situation. I think this film, we watch a lot of films that are, crazy fantasy and sci-fi, and we still play the what would you do. This is a real life, almost could happen. So for me, it put me right into that. What would I do in this situation? By the way, I'm a Girl Scout. And I am pretty sure I could have made fire a lot quicker than he did, but I'm not going to criticize his fire making skills.
Now, before we go there, we've got our first one. Now I can see a chat going quite a lot. Our first Wilson's just come in. Hi, Candy. We got one Wilson. We might have to do a count how many Wilsons we get.
You need to put the Wilson counter up.
Yeah, I must say, being from the military, my first is water, fire. Get those two.
Yeah,
things.
the essentials. The essentials.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking for water. Water and fire. Yeah, that's it. But
so when he finds these coconuts, well, the first night he hears something, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, is it some kind of creature?
Yeah,
it's something's gonna get me.
And I actually loved that. Sorry, not to cut you off. I loved how quickly he shoots up and is just like, what was that? Because immediately I'm like, well, yeah, you would be completely on edge. You wouldn't just be sleeping soundly. So I kind of, again, a little touch of, it wasn't just like a slow peek up. It was an immediate shoot up from like his laying position to what the hell is that? I got to see what it was. So again, there's a lot of little things like that I really liked about this.
And I like his acting there. And so you hear this boom, and then one's really loud. And then he realizes, because I think one almost hits him, it's coconuts. And he shakes it. Oh, water. But how do I get to coconut water? And right away, this is our this brings us right to present day, and those basic skills that we've forgotten, like making fire and chopping it, how to get water out of a coconut, kind of like we saw in the time machine, where humans were so advanced. Hey, we're so advanced, we can fly packages around the world, but we can't make fire and open a coconut. There are some moments here, and we kind of said it earlier. There are some actors, I always say, when Jeff Goldblum's in anything, Jeff Goldblum is playing Jeff Goldblum, right? And sometimes Al Pacino is playing Al Pacino, and Robert De Niro is playing Robert De Niro. Tom Hanks, although he has mannerisms characteristic in most of the roles he plays, I do think he embodies the roles, right? Now, when he's playing a real life person like Jim Lovell in Apollo 13, he's got to be Jim Lovell. Here, we don't know who Chuck is, and so he can play him his way. But there are moments in his acting where I really thought, wow, that was great. For me, the moment when he's starting to get really frustrated, he's throwing the coconuts against the rock. He's hardballing them, and they're still not breaking. And then he takes a rock and he starts smashing it. And then the rock shatters. And what's left in his hand is a primitive axe. The look on his face when he realizes what he did, like he's so pleased with himself, was a really great bit of acting. Like you have to startle yourself and to haha, and kind of laugh like, ooh, I did that. Like a little kid, writing his name for the first time. That look, I thought, that's a really good actor who can do that. And he might have done that scene 10 times. Right. But he got that surprise. Ooh, I'm proud of myself. And now I'm going to slice this coconut. And he slices the coconut. I thought that was really well done. And I think there are little scenes like that all through this film where you see that acting ability.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. I think this is the stretch of what I consider to be Tom Hanks's prime, when he was just making good movie to great movie, one after the other. Obviously, at least for me, I guess I can't say obviously, but for me, at least, I know some of his more recent movies haven't really hit the spot in terms of, his best work. But I think this is a great stretch for him in terms of his career. And in this movie specifically, we talked about this, I think, backstage. I'm not sure if we said it there on the beginning of the show, where he's not doing a Memphis, Tennessee accent. He's just talking like Tom Hanks. So I think that's kind of where we get a little bit of that, oh, it's Tom Hanks kind of doing Tom Hanks, but it's not quite the way that, say, Ryan Reynolds is always kind of Ryan Reynolds. He is an actor and he can act in this role. I think that very iconic Tom Hanks voice that we know from his acting, whether it be movies that he's actually physically in, or if it's Toy Story as the voice of Woody, like that voice is so always just him that I think it kind of makes you think for a second it's just Tom Hanks being Tom Hanks. But like you just said, when you break down some of these little scenes, little mannerisms, little things that he does, even that part where he throws the is it the coconut? Oh no, we'll see it with the fire when he hurts his hand with the fire and he throws it and he just screams in anger. Like those little things, it's good acting. And that is, I think, what makes him a really good actor, especially at this point in time.
He had probably a 10-year period that he was really cinema gold, wasn't he?
Just
he did have that
everything he touched was gold. The only one I can think of him doing an accent was The Terminal. That movie he does an accent in, and it still kind of just sounds like Tom Hanks. I don't know that accents are always his strong suit, but he can act and act very well, especially like I said at this point in his career. So I always say too, when you're in a movie like this where you're really acting alone. You're not working off of anybody. You're working off the environment and a volleyball. You know what I mean? Like it's impressive to see somebody put in a performance like that. Is it the greatest of all time? No, but it's still a really impressive and good acting performance, I think, from him in this one.
I think other actors could have hammed it up and really made it bad, right?
Yeah.
I think there are also points where he's very reserved, and I think that, that helps too, because then it helps you really buy when he's in pain, when he's in peril, when he's angry, all of those things.
That's a great point.
Buy it because he kind of not underplays, but just plays very reasonably, and surprisingly calm. Yeah, he's calm, and while you don't see it, except that he is writing the months of the year up on the stone, to try to keep track of time, of course, but he is methodically thinking, okay, like you see him explore the island, figure out what he's got, get the lay of the land.
Well, one of the first things, isn't it? Like, he does the help in the sand.
The help in the sand.
Logs and,
So he's methodically thinking, okay, here's what I've got to do to survive. Not necessarily succeeding because he's never had to do this before. Maybe he wasn't a Boy Scout. I don't know. Maybe they don't teach making fire in the Boy Scouts. Don't know. Girl Scouts, we do a really good job at that. But some of the other, when he's trying to, figure out how to fish, and he's gonna catch it with his hands or stab it. No, you got to make a net. There's got to be. There's smarter ways to do this, and there's he's talking about how to make rope and figuring out how to make rope. Of course, he's got a lot of time to figure all this out. He doesn't realize how much time initially he's got, but he's got a lot of time to figure out how to do all these things.
Yeah. So
and there's some trial and error too. Like you see, he does that first initial help. And I just caught it here because I got the movie playing beside me for the visual cues. He's got that that first sign for help in the sand, and then he has that coconut scene at night where he wakes up all wondering what the hell is going on. And then immediately after that, we move on to the next part of the help sign has now washed away because of the tide, which is the first thing I thought. I'm like, ooh, you're doing that in the sand? Like, you should probably use some sticks. And I forgot that, he sees that it washes away in the tide. And then the next thing is he builds it with the sticks so there's trial and error where he's figuring out, it's something that, if this movie was done today, maybe they'd probably write it so that the person immediately knows how to survive in every possible way, shape, or form. But in this, it shows the idea of, most people won't know how to survive in this kind of scenario. And most, even if it's just lost in the woods of, a state in America that's all woodlands, it's hard to survive. Never mind this deserted island type of thing.
For sure.
Yeah, most people wouldn't know how to survive with this limited resources in this kind of situation. So it shows the trial and error of him figuring it out. And it's kind of almost a way of showing, as we see with the fire and water and hunting, gathering, the whole thing. It's kind of a story of the evolution of man, how man had to figure out how to do all these things and the kind of power that comes with it, especially fire when we get there. So I really liked how they played that out throughout the movie.
Yeah. So he goes walkabouts, but he's got no shoes. And that's prevalent in the next kind of scene when he kind of comes across, he sees he's up on the tree, what we'll talk about later, of course, but he's looking down and he sees something in the water, and we can see it's a body, and it is one of the pilots has drifted in to the things. And I like this because it's probably what everybody would do, and it's probably going to take some strain to do, but at least they gave him the dignity of doing a grave to him. But then even to that, I'm going to have to go through your stuff. I'm going to have to look at take your shoes because I'm here to survive. So he's got that, again, that mindset of like that. He's dug him a shallow grave. Don't know what from. I guess in his hands. He didn't really show that.
I think he was using the oar from the boat, because I think you see it next to him. It's a little tiny little oar that he has. I think that's what he was using as a bit of a shovel.
Yeah, but he takes what he could, what is useful off the body, and then he does the right thing. He marks the grave. site, and he does like that. So I think it's just like it's just again, it's showing the person behind what is going on, because seen previously, he seems like nice, but he's very business driven. But like in that, he's still got a heart into that. Even though most people probably wouldn't dig the grave and just let him out to rot, but he knows the right thing to do. So it's like
his humanity is still there, regardless of the situation, the dire spot that he's in. His humanity is still there. He, with the thing he does with the picture of, he finds the guy's picture of him and his sons in his wallet. He puts it in his breast pocket and all that. Like I like this scene a lot. It's a really nice scene. And I also liked because as he's swimming up to the body, I mean, you can tell that it's face down. We all know that it's not a live person.
Oh, he's trying.
But even just that little reaction of when he flips the body over and he sees, because the body's been in water for some time. It's been beaten up against the rocks. It's not in, great shape, obviously. And his little reaction to it, again, just a nice little bit of acting where I was like, oh yeah, that would be a pretty alarming sight for anybody to have to see.
Yeah. But it's even you say straight away, and it does go in it later in the movie, is like when he takes the torch and it's nighttime, and he's got, was it Kelly? Is it Kelly? Sorry,
Kelly.
Yes. Yep.
Kelly's like the picture, and they show it later. It would go into, but it's that click of the torch on off, and that's straight away. That's the kind of hope you're getting, and then the kind of next scenes is what we kind of just discussed about, is kind of. He hasn't got a clue how to survive. He goes down, he finds a leaf with some fresh water into it. He goes down and he's sipping that. He's throwing like sticks really at the fish, trying to hope that he's going to get one. He hasn't got a clue what
cracking
to do.
Coconuts and spilling all the water, the coconut water, not realizing, coconut, is it milk? Is it coconut milk? What's inside the coconut? It's milk, right? Coconut water is what they put in the show.
I almost went and bought some milk today, so that I could say I was drinking coconut milk while talking to you guys. But I've never had it before, and I don't know if I don't have any food allergies, but I don't want to find one out.
So, fair enough. Not before stream. Fair enough.
But from that, he tries his luck. Like he's blatantly, doesn't really give you time. It doesn't give you a time scale thing. So I guess he's been there a few days, but he gets the idea. I'm going to go for it. He's going to get his raft that's still inflated with the oar, and he goes for it. And unfortunately, them waves are.
This is the ocean, man.
Them waves of it. But it's quite clever because this bit it shows, and then again later, I'm learning the patterns. Right. Like when he does go, he's learnt the patterns of what the tide is supposed to be, and he even says, he needed it to come in to make sure he can get out safely. And of course, he goes for it. The waves knocks him down. He cuts his thigh. I think it's his thigh, isn't it, on the coral?
And that's real. That island is surrounded by razor sharp coral and volcanic rock. So that is true to that location.
Yeah, because you can see that. Like there was the other thing, he gets blood on his feet, doesn't he, when he's walking through?
Just walking around.
So but he's he's done two things. He did it probably not knowing the area like that, and of course now he's lost his inflatable raft as well, so he's kind of screwed, and he's seriously injured. So he's and the only thing he can do is kind of hobble back into his little cave, and that's it. But I just on the note, this is the second movie now where we have got, a little fun fact, is where Battle Royale was all shot in the day and the night aspect was put on post. This is exactly the same.
Really?
All shot in the day, and then the nighttime scenes were added after, like kind of.
I did not know that. They did a great job. It looks very
realistic. But exactly like Battle Royale. When we watched that, we're like, we didn't know that. So so that was
very interesting.
A fun fact told by my girlfriend. So she's lying to me. I can blame her.
Hi, Jade.
Your credibility's on the line here, Jade.
But so he's you can now see the kind of suffering, like he's injured, he's screwed up, he's starting to starting to like lose the battle here a little bit, isn't he? And the only thing he keeps on going for is Kelly's picture. It's like that's the only thing it really has got. He's like, I'm screwed. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like that. So yeah, and it like at this point, he's not lost that much weight. So he like he's going to be like probably maybe 5 days to a week, maybe.
Yeah,
like,
week. 2 weeks tops, and I don't even think it was 2 weeks at this point.
No. So
well, he's now deciding he's going to open a box, right? This is
the boxes.
Yeah, I believe that's about where we're approaching.
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to opening a box, and we might get a few divorce papers.
So we get our first. What do we get? We get some papers. We get some VHS tapes. We get the most important thing is skates. So
skates and a dress that has mesh on it.
Yeah, and then of course back to so he opens them all, but he won't open this. Nope. So he like that. He looks at it, goes to nope, and he puts it down very politely and things like that. So yeah, it's good. And then he kind of uses the skates as a tool, doesn't he? He realizes, yep, they're a tool, and he's like that, and he makes them like a makeshift dressing to his wound. So he kind of
threads up some cloth and pulls the laces out of the skates so he can tie the dressing onto his leg. And he's also using the skates. Earlier in the film, I forgot to mention, earlier in the film, he was complaining about a toothache, right? He said,
yes.
I got to get to the dentist. Well,
he does it at the dinner as well, doesn't he? As well, it's like, she's like, "Oh, I didn't know there was some nut in it." He's like, "Oh no, it's something else." And he's like, "That isn't it?"
He can look in the skates when the sun's at a certain angle, and it's a mirror, and he can see. Then he's gonna pull back, and he's gonna see the abscess on his tooth, and it's like
we're talking about that a bit.
Well, we're not there yet, but he can look at it now. But
and he also has some tapes, some VHS tapes that he finds, which will come in later on.
Yeah. So yeah,
sorry, I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
Yeah. But now we've got him. You can see he's incapable. I've heard if you rub sticks together, they make fire, and he just it's the most frustrating like watching it because
it's the most like movie Hollywood way that you see.
You're like, you're not going to do it, and then of course he kind of just gives up. Like the first attempt, he kind of gives up, and then of course he's got his
what they taught us in Girl Scouts was two thin boards together, rub the stick between the two boards because that allows the most oxygen to get immediately into the little shreds of paper and stuff that you're gonna have. Now, of course, when we did it, we had very, very, very dry. So that's the other thing. I mean, you're not gonna have totally completely dry. You got to let the wood dry out for a few days, or at least, leave it next to a fire to dry out. So it's not. I'm kind of making fun. It is not easy. It is definitely not easy. But you do see him learning as he goes here. You see him start to figure things out.
Yeah, so this is literally, is it this like, so he's carrying on, and is it now he does hurt himself now, doesn't he, whilst he's trying to do it? He cuts him.
He's trying the new, the different way that he's trying to start the fire now at this point. The thing slips, cuts his hand, and he has a nice little kind of stressful, aggravated freak out scene that I thought was another one of those small little moments of good acting and emotion out of him.
Yeah, and it sets up, where does he put his hand? On our the second main character.
Right. Yeah,
so he starts getting
the co-lead.
Yeah,
he gets the face of Wilson.
So Wilson is a character. He's literally, how you say it, he's the co-star, and I think they actually
role.
They actually name Wilson as Wilson through the credits.
That's awesome. I didn't like
that. But yeah, so you can't. How many people know Wilson? Most people, like, you, even if you don't like, Wilson! You know Wilson. That's it. But the support of Wilson as the supporting actor is great, and it's a fun. There actually was a person doing the dialogue, what we can't hear, but Tom Hanks could as an actor, so he had something to play to. So and then it was muted out afterwards.
Okay.
So there's actually somebody's actually
That's
playing
smart.
Wilson. So and of course so he's lucky enough. His handprint has literally given the kind of a face. Yeah, actually lucky. It's a lucky. It's Hollywood, but it's the lucky face, the face of Wilson. So a little bit different there, goes on to be developed, but we get Wilson. So we get that, and straight away he kind of I like this scenes with Wilson, because it's probably what everybody would do, because you've not talked to anyone for a while except for yourself. So to have that visual represent, just a visual marker of I'm talking to somebody else, would help you not go completely lose your mind. So it's good. Even when he's I think one of the next scenes, he's fighting to do the fire, wood to get that, and he is having an argument kind of like that. I'm doing the best I can kind of thing. He's like, I'm gonna do this. So he's having this kind of back and forth. So so it
was a bit of an airhead. I heard Wilson was a bit of an
airhead. But it's good storytelling. Whoever had that idea was actually quite good. We can't just have him mooching around like an idiot. We need to kind of have something to talk to.
Right.
But
it's a nice kind of way to show what isolation does to a human. Like at nature, we're all social creatures, even those of us who are introverts or whatever it may be. I always consider myself to be a bit of an introvert at times, and I'm still also a very social person at the same time. So even, everybody, it's in our nature as humans to be social creatures. It just is what it is. So isolation does things to the human mind. It's not good for the human mind. So it's kind of a great representation of, you would talk to anything. That's why sometimes when we think things out loud, it's us, you say talking to ourselves, but it's because we need to talk. We need to get our thoughts out. They can't just stay inside of our minds. So it's a nice representation of that, I think, what it does to the mind and how you will talk to anything just to get that little feeling of that social nature that we need.
Yeah. So now we get a happy accident. What Sandy says, he splits his wood that he's been having an argument with, and he realizes you need oxygen. And then, and I do like this when he actually does it. The expressions. This is
he's
the levity
with himself again.
Yeah. I've created fire like that. What have I created? Like that. It's great. And it's simple. And you get that at the end as well. There's a scene with the lighter torch. But again, this is stuff you need to basic water, fire. You will survive.
It's a total game changer, and that's proven to be the way for humanity as well. The creation of fire started everything, so it's or changed everything, I should say, rather than started. But similar thing here. He's in this dire situation, but once he gets fire, is it a dire situation still? Sure, of course. I mean, he's stranded on an island, but the prospects change tenfold of how he can survive now, just because of this simple element that's not that difficult to create, but once you figure it out, it just changes the game entirely.
Well, that's how you can I think it's this bit he realizes, because with it skipped over with the skates, he sharpens the stick that he's been using, and he manages to get a crab, doesn't he? And now he tries to eat the crab raw, realize that's not going to work, but now with fire you can cook the crab. So now he realizes it's probably his first cooked meal for a long time. So it is a game changer. So but into that he realizes
sorry, I was gonna say he uses it later when he's bringing down the trees to build the raft. He's actually using the fire to burn away, instead of hacking at the trees,
weaken it.
He's weakening the trees so he can pull them down or push them down. So he's using it as a tool. And again, I love the fact that he's just so proud of himself. He just
Yeah,
that
the little
acting again.
dance, the screaming, the
I am
look
the
what
Lord of
I've
Fire.
created. Oh, it's brilliant. It's I really like that scene too. It's just you know, you can, it's very easy, I feel like, because of the way the movie's done, to kind of put yourself into those spots and feel the kind of emotion, the things that he's going through, and later on with some other characters as well. But you can just put yourself in that spot and say, yeah, dude, I'd be jumping for joy as well. If I just finally created fire in this scenario, I would be saying all the same things, doing all the same dances.
Yeah. But then at the same time, he goes, oh, keeps on that. There's that every time he's eating like that. There's the clench to the side of the mouth. He's like, oh, like that. So yeah, and then of course he's you know, you can see his spirits have lifted. He's kind of now, he starts like, you know, he works out, well, if I was here, the comms went out, you know, and he goes into that. But yeah, he's still now in a lot of pain. At the same time, this is where, yeah, Sandy said earlier, he looks and uses it as a mirror, and then kind of has a look at his tooth, and he's like, oh, uh-oh, this ain't gonna be good. And then of course we get, so now he goes for the pull of the tooth, I suppose.
Gotta do it. You gotta do what you gotta do.
If anybody's had a toothache, you know how bad it is.
I think he's prying it out, right? Ugh, which is just even worse than
this is that. I must say, this is one scene. I'm not very wincy, but every time
it's always a tough one to watch.
It's like that. It's great acting, but like, oh, can you imagine, like, because everybody when they see us go, can you imagine having to do this with like this, like the skate is probably now not so sharp, and he's literally just got to put it in and literally wrench that thing back and forth into like that tooth, and that's not going to be nice. That is, you're digging it out like that, and even when you probably got some of it out, you're going to have to. Oh, it would be
that final blow to really get the thing out.
Yeah. Oh, it's got to be. Oh, just thinking it now, it just makes me go, oh no, just getting that. Yeah, you kind of just want to get. Let's anybody else just do it for me, but you have to do it yourself. That would be painful. And of course, the nerve endings. Yeah, anybody's had a bit of a bad tooth at any point of like, you know, got a bit of toothache, ramp it up, and
then throw yourself on a desert island with no dentist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty crappy scenario.
Yeah, you get to it when he actually finally does it. He passes out, doesn't he? But he's like, it's that much pain. He completely loses all consciousness. Now we are now. This is where you could have had an intermission, like the old style intermissions in this movie, because now this is like, I'm just looking at it now, 1 hour and 20 minutes into the movie, and this is the halfway point, because now we get kind of the 4 years later. Is it 4? 4 years later. So we get the 4 years later, and the transformation is now Skinny Tom. Now, I'm guessing fun facts about what actually happened in real life in this. Sandy, you got the fun fact?
I don't know. I mean, I know he lost the weight.
Yeah, so they waited. They actually waited. So all the the scenes you get, you know, where you don't see Tom, I suppose, like that, they were all shot, and some of it, and they worked on the first half of the movie, but they had to wait for his beard to grow, his hair to grow, him to lose weight. So it took a year.
I was curious if that was wigs or not.
Oh my gosh, a year.
Yeah, I knew obviously they'd have to wait a bit for the weight loss, because that, you know, that's something you have to wait for. But I was curious if the hair and the beard was wig or if it was real.
No, he was adamant, no, I'm going to grow this out. And it was even to the point where they were like, they had to, because that's not his natural. If you look at it slightly, it's kind of a blonde. So they had to they lemon dyed it to make it look more natural. Didn't dye it. He put lemon in his hair to make it look like from the
sun bleached.
They did a great job. It looked sun bleached. It looked great. I was curious. I'm like, is that wig? Is that real hair? That's interesting to know. They did a great job. You know, in terms of the waiting, that was good thinking.
But this is where also you can see his skills are developed, because the first thing you see is a fish, and he spears.
He's got it.
He
He
kept
nailed it.
waiting. He's like that, and even like that, he's just like, got it, done it. There we go. So,
And he's
now
not even right over it. Like when you see the shot starts where you see the spear going in the water, and then you see that he's over there. Like he just nailed it from afar.
He's a good at least 10, maybe close to 15 yards away.
Yeah.
He's a good distance.
Yeah. So he's got this thing. He's got it.
The transformation is like, he's now really skinny, really hairy. 4 years, and even to the one he was like, he can see like when he's eating the fish raw now, and he's just like,
it's a Gollum moment there.
He's just like really just chewing it, and he's just like got no emotion, but it's emotion of like an actor's emotion is really good. And even when he's back in the cave, and then there's another thunderstorm, and he's just literally like, he's just staring into space. He's just,
it's like he's just beaten at this point. In terms of hope, there's no hope of leaving at this point. He's just, this is it. I just have to keep surviving one way or another.
And now we've got the first glimpses of like kind of time difference, because we now get a calendar. He's been there so long. He's marking out the days. He's marking out the calendar path of all that he can do just to know how long. But I'm guessing it's something to do as well. You would do it because like you would, 1 day, 2 day, you can see that. You get the people in the prisons, don't you? Like they mark off the days, how long they've been, and on the stone walls. You kind of would do it, but also it comes back to fact, later on there's a clever thing he can do, because he can map the tides with this.
Now when this was first shown, and you see the how he's visualizing the year graphically in your minds, when you think of a year, do you think of it as a circle or an ellipse or a block or a calendar? How do you personally visualize the year?
Oh, that's a good question. If I was to think, I would think like a line, like a timeline.
You think of it as a line?
Yeah, kind of. Now that you ask, I would kind of immediately go to like a line.
Yeah, if I went time as a line, but the geek in me, I would probably do a circle, trying to make it like an orbit, because we're around the sun.
That's the way I see it, like as an ellipse, like of the year. But here's the weird thing. I always did it as a figure 8. And when I saw this looked like the way that my brain always thought of how I always think of June and July as like the cross in the figure 8. It's so bizarre. And when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is how I visualize the year. Somewhere in some astrophysics class, some professor must have shown something like this to me, where I got in my brain that we're doing sort of a figure 8, which obviously we're not. We're doing an ellipse around the sun. But when I saw this, it was very freaky, because although I don't have March there, that's where I have July in my brain's figure 8. And and days of the week have different colors for me, but that's a whole other conversation.
Interesting.
But again, it's the reference of time in the movie as well. Another reference of time. It's all about time. And then on that we get kind of a now we get a bit of a luck, a path of Portaloo. Isn't it?
Yeah. We call it a porta potty here.
Porta potty.
Or Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, fair enough.
And where's he gets excited?
And I would personally never use them, because they are disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The being at a festival and you're having to make it's not.
Oh god, yeah, it's like last dire need if you really can't hold it anymore, because they are always disgusting.
You got to learn to hold it. You just got to learn to hold it.
Yeah, honestly. I saw a video once of a girl who dropped her phone in there. It went viral. She dropped her cell phone and she got it out. It's like, oh my god, leave that thing. No. Forget it.
It's gone. Goodbye.
But yes, I believe it was Bakersfield. Assuming California. I always just assume when I hear Bakersfield, it's California, but I suppose it could be a different Bakersfield. I think he might have said California, though. I'm not sure.
It's the West Coast, so that's why.
But he gets another one. He just gets excited, and then he sits there looking at it. And then he gets an idea. Dun dun dun.
As the wind blows it over.
Yeah,
he's got his idea.
Yeah, Now you're gonna have to think because it's gonna be weird here. Now we're guessing up to it. We're guessing up to the tree bit, aren't we? Soon. Or if we skipped over now, because my version cut it out.
The
version I went
the extra rope scene,
Plus,
that one.
Yep.
Oh,
the Paramount
really?
Plus version cut it out.
Oh, that is so stupid.
Because of the topic.
Oh, give me a break.
It might have had
part of the movie.
It might have had to change the rating.
Maybe,
that is ridiculous.
Whatever yours was rated, it might have made it a
12 plus. Yeah.
Well, before that is
yeah.
completely ridiculous because it plays a big role in the movie in terms of what his character goes through, a conversation he'll have later with his friend who had the ill wife. So it plays a big part in the movie.
But they didn't cut the scene when it showed him when he got skipping ahead, but when he pulled up the dummy. So they kept that scene in and the hangman loose around the dummy, but they didn't show the bit before it. And I was like, that's weird.
Mine didn't have any scene. I only saw pulling up the dummy. I didn't realize there was. Is there a scene of?
Yeah.
He throws the dummy over the branch of the tree, but you don't know what he's doing. You don't know what he's doing. Like I thought he was trying to make a pulley so that he could bring things up to the top of the mountain because he wanted to be there because he had a better vantage point. This is where my brain went, right? So I was thinking he's trying to drag things up the mountain. And then he throws the dummy over the branch and then the branch breaks. And then you realize what he was trying to do. And then you kind of put together that, and he doesn't say to himself, I wonder how I can delete myself.
Right.
You see him put it over the branch breaks, and then he looks down. And the dummy is down there like, oh, this could have been me with broken leg, broken back. But you don't know that right away because you don't know what he's like. I thought he was trying to figure out how to haul stuff up the mountain.
Yeah. To be honest. So
that's all you see. That's all you see.
Yeah, they completely.
No, I kind of forgot about that scene until you just described it, Sandy, because it cut it out on mine too. Yeah, it was. I watched it on Hulu and it was edited out of mine. Now that I think of it, because I remember getting to the pulling up the dummy for the extra rope and being like, I'm like, did I miss something? And I didn't even put that together until just now. Yeah, it must have been edited out. That is so silly.
Why? Yeah, it's a very
physical media, people. Physical media.
Seriously.
Because that's been in when it's on TV, they like British TV, but this is of course Paramount Plus, US really channel. I was like, they just completely I was like, that's odd.
Yeah, watching it, I didn't even remember the scene because it's been a little bit, and then now that you're describing it, I'm like, yes, I do remember that now.
Yeah, I started to rewind it. I was like, did I completely black out there? Where's it gone? Yeah, so I was like, it's got to be soon. So where it fits into the movie, I couldn't tell you, but
yeah, I'm not sure either now.
Yeah. So now he's got his going back to that, he's got his plan. So now he's getting to, like the threading the bark of the wood to make rope, and I guess entwined with the VHS tape as well, of that. And he's got his companion Wilson like to talk to and all that. So he's starting to do the constructs of the raft now. He's like, he's getting all the pieces on. He's just got to go. He's just got to go now. So that's it. So it's now it's all about him leaving. But I like how they also like this bit. This is period 4 is a quicker than the first period, I suppose, of like his time at the island. But it just shows like there's a bit like he's made like he's the ice skate into like a more of an axe kind of thing. He's got now a handle on it. He's like, he's now kind of a very capable survivor of the island. 4 years, he's managed to survive, and he's doing that. And then of course this is where even to this point where he's making the kind of extra rope, and he even says, I need to go to Wilson. I don't want to go back up there. I'm not going to go back up there. I'm not going to go. Like now, he's tormented, I suppose, mentally about what he was going to try and do. So, but he has to go back up to, of course, the rope, the hanging tree, I suppose you want to call it, or whatever, and then retrieve the extra rope that is up there with the dummy that looks like a dummy. This is where I said you got the hangman's loose. So it's I thought it was like, yeah, why they cut it out? It's like, if you're going to show hangman's loose anyway, it's going to be a bit obvious. That's it. And then he's like, again, it's great acting from Tom. He's like, he just looks at the knot and kind of, this is what I was going to do. It's like that. And like now, of course, he's again with the portaloo, the metal shards of it, like metal panels of it. He's now got hope again.
Right.
So it's things, but this next section is this whole bit, like it's him and Wilson. This is him, and it's the back and forths.
So as much as I like the way he acts off of Wilson, I hated this next scene because the exposition dump here is so obvious. It's so on the nose, and they don't need it, because just that visual, physical acting he does, looking at, the rope when he pulls it up, like you just explained, it's brilliantly done. It's great acting by him, and they undercut it by this just long-winded explanation of what happened. Like you can easily understand what he was doing when he pulls up that dummy, what he was testing, what his thought process was, and obviously that he chose not to do that. And then basically this next whole scene is a bit of exposition dump of explaining all that to the audience member as if they weren't, smart enough to figure it out. And I didn't remember it being in there. And then when it happened, I'm like, this feels like just such a undercutting of a brilliantly done scene where like the audience got it. You didn't need to spell it out for us. It just felt a little odd. And I have to say, this is probably my least favorite scene in the movie, or at least this chunk of dialogue, just because of it's an on the nose exposition dump that didn't need to be there.
I think they wanted it to, because he wanted, when he gets angry at Wilson and throws him out the cave.
And that's the thing. Like, you could have come up with something else to do that.
Yeah, they could have done. Yeah, because they wanted to show that the relationship he's had with this thing. Now, we like 4 years later, when he could have been on the island another 6 months before. So let's say it's 4.5 years, like whatever now. So this is his relationship. He's had this volleyball as the relationship to, but yeah, they could have done it better. They could have like had a drawn to like he runs out and go, Wills, he's trying. Where are you? Where are you? I'm sorry.
Give me a different reason for why you get angry at Wilson and throw him out. Some different argument to have had. Because I like the second half of that scene. You're 100% correct. I like the way he gets angry, throws Wilson, and then immediately he's like, oh crap, what did I just do? Like, I got to go find Wilson. Like, I love all of that. It's just the route to get to that was so on the nose of just like an exposition dump that didn't need to be there. Have a different argument with him about the prospects of whether this plan's going to work or not. It could have been that Wilson could just be there saying, I don't think this is going to work. And he could get pissed at it and say, it is going to work. What do you know? You're a volleyball. Boom. He's kicked out the hole of the cave. And that's what gets to that point. The unnecessary kind of spelling out of the very well done scene before that, it just kind of took me out of it. Like, man, you guys could have got to the, from point A to point B in a better manner there.
The only thing I will say, maybe in the writer's defense there, is perhaps Tom Hanks, Chuck, had to tell somebody, had to say it all.
Maybe.
Out of his mind.
I could see that.
Sometimes to get the bad thoughts out of your mind, or the depression, or repetitive thoughts, or whatever it is. Or for me, like if you have a song that's an earworm, the only way for me to get it out of my head is to sing it at the loudest possible voice from beginning to end, and then the song's out of my head. Maybe he had to just say it to get it out of his head.
No,
and
that's a fair point.
He had to say it to Wilson. I don't know.
No, that is a fair point. And I could definitely see that being the reasoning for sure. It just felt a little on the nose and a little clunky in terms of a way to get from where they were to the point of the Wilson thing that they wanted to show there.
Yeah. But now he's constructed his raft, and he's got now a kind of a wind a mechanism, I suppose. It's just a bit of fabric on a stick for him. But
it's a
this
sail.
isn't
it a sail?
No.
Oh
the bit
yeah,
before,
to tell
show
the
wind direction.
right, to show
wind
the
direction.
wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
little
he's
piece
wait.
of the dress that he had opened from the package, I believe, the leopard dress.
Yeah. And this is now, he's got his calendar.
Is that a tachometer?
He's now
No.
waiting. He's got to now wait for the perfect tide moment. So he's actually, it's clever. I like it because this is, him, I've messed up before. I ain't going to mess up this time. So he's waiting for that day that wind is in the right place. The tides come in and he can go for it. And it's now just, it's just a waiting game. It's the calendar goes past and all that. And then the wind changes and he gives just in case goodbye, I suppose, like that. So I'm guessing the 1500 days is an estimate by him. And it's literally,
a nice, perfect, even number.
It's again, it's to Kelly. It's all about, what we've seen previously. It's the pocket watch. It's all Kelly. He keeps on he doesn't refer to it, he just goes back to it. It's always in probably every 5-10 minutes we get the pocket watch. So this is he knows it's probably in his head. He knows it's a probably less than 50% chance that he's gonna survive this, but what else is he gonna do? It goes later on, what was I'm gonna die there? That was gonna be him. Nobody was coming. I'm gonna die. So he finally, winds changed. He's got his note and he's going for it. So it's one of those things. It's you've just got to you've got to roll. Just keep swimming.
Quite literally. It's and we hear this afterwards when we hear him talk later on. But you're right. It's I'm either gonna die here or I'm gonna die out there. And if I die here, it's gonna take a lot longer, type of thing. And it's I've already been here 4 years. Hope is gone. There's the slight chance that this little section of a porta potty that just washed ashore is a new sign of hope. So I'm gonna take it, and take it. He does. And I love that he even built a little boat ramp to launch the boat. He's thought of everything at this point. He's gone from, being shocked at himself, discovering a primitive axe, to a complete master of his domain, at this point, where he's got the boat launch, the wind system, all this stuff, the boat itself, or the raft itself, rather. And let's not forget, he's even built a little seat in the seatbelt system for his good buddy Wilson.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're not leaving you behind.
Nope, you're coming home with me.
Yeah, I do like that. It's the dynamic, and then so now this is where again he does the sail, doesn't he? And then because we don't see him drawing or painting whatever he's got to paint for, but he recreates the wings that we see again,
which he does in the cave as well. The cave, he's got some cave drawings that he does. Again, it's all kind of like the idea of man kind of evolving type of thing, which I thought is another little undertone of the movie that I liked. But the cave paintings of Kelly, there's handprints, there's a picture of Wilson, and then there's these wings, which I'm assuming the only reason this package didn't get opened was because these wings represent, I don't know, an angel or something, that's the connection.
Somebody
he's making.
Took care, didn't he?
I was trying to figure out exactly why it was the wings. The best thing I'd come up was angel or just something different. I wasn't entirely sure, but it's those wings.
Yeah. So now he's got, I don't know what you call it, that area around it, where the tide buggers up, but he's got the isolation of the open water with Wilson. So he's out there. He's again alone. It's a different kind of alone. It's now
it's even worse.
It's gonna be worse. It's like that. Yeah, he's got some coconuts filled with water. He's even when it rains, he refills it. But this is where you're it's not just lonely, it's now dangerous. It's
significantly more dangerous. And what I liked too was there's part of this scene as he's as he's rafting away, he's looking back at the island, and I think it's a couple of things. I think it's a little bit of this has been his home for 5 years. So it's a little bit now, it's like, well, that part of it is a little bit sad to leave, but it's also the idea of that also represents like a safer spot. I think he's realizing like, oh, I'm really in it now. Like there is no turning back at this point. Like if there's between the distance that I've already put between me and that island, if anything goes wrong with this raft, there is no more getting back to that island for safety. So not only is it like a home that you're leaving that, yeah, you never necessarily wanted, but it's become all that you've known for 5 years. It also represents an easier, I don't want to say easier, but I guess an easier type of survival versus now you're on the open sea. Now you're literally in no man's land. It's sink or swim, no pun intended.
You're at the mercy of the sea now.
Right.
Like, at
Which
least
is
on land,
one of the most,
yeah. He was in a little bit of control.
Right. Yeah. The ocean's just such a violent element, or landscape, or however you want to call it, waterscape. It's just, I mean, you see any of those, crab fishing shows where the way those boats get tossed around in the sea, and like, dude, you're on a raft made of a few sticks and you're about to go, fare the ocean. Like I just really like that kind of little bit of that last longing look back at the island of the home he once knew, the safety he once knew. And it's all a new ball game now.
Yeah. Now, I'm gonna have to. I haven't read it for a while, and I couldn't. I'm guessing it was supposed to be with the wow. We had the nighttime bit. He's still swimming, and then the wow comes up, and they see like it looks at him like, "Who are you? Who are you? You know?" And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a reference to Moby Dick. I couldn't remember. I was like, are they going to give a
Jonah
reference
and
there?
the whale is what I was.
Is it Jonah and the whale? Is it? Yeah, I was just like, there's got to be a reference.
The biblical piece hit me more
maybe.
of like Jonah and the whale, and is he going to eat him? Is he going to get swallowed up by the whale? And Jonah being helpless out on the sea versus Moby Dick being, Ahab is going after Moby Dick, same as Quint is going after Jaws, same as, I'm sorry, see, you say Moby Dick, I'm gonna go to Jaws, then we're gonna go into wheel on my boy when the wheel comes up with
shark.
I don't want to go there, but Moby Dick being the pursuit and the kind of the obsession about the shark versus
that's why I thought. Sorry, because when it goes on quickly, doesn't it? Because the storm happens. So I was like, is that supposed to be like there is another reference there. I couldn't pinpoint it, but it's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good. I get why they get it. It's just a bit.
Was it also, I think the whale is like, you're in my turf now.
Yeah,
you're on my turf, and I am in control here, and I may eat you. I may just swallow you whole.
I'm allowing you to pass by.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. All right.
I like that curiosity, isn't it? It's like the curiosity of like, what are you doing here? Yeah, what is this? Oh, it's a human. Bye.
Yeah, I like that. It's that little kind of moment between man and beast, so to speak. That again, I thought is just nice little touch. Did it have to be in there? No, but I thought it was a nice touch to have it in there. I also thought, not for nothing, in terms of CGI, didn't look that bad. I thought it held up pretty well. Bad. Obviously, they set it in the darkness of night to make it cover up a little bit more of probably some rough edges with CGI, but I thought it held up. I thought it looked good.
Yeah.
I agree.
So now we've got a storm. The storm's happened. He's wrecked his raft.
You knew it was going to happen. You knew it was coming.
You got now coming up. He's asleep on the raft. We see Wilson. His attachment is going back and forth, and he goes into the water. Now, this is probably the saddest part. One of the saddest parts of the movie. So Chuck wakes up. And he can't find Wilson. Wilson's not in his plinth or whatever you want to call it that he's made for him.
And he's not even on a raft. I mean, he's on a few sticks left. Yeah. I mean, this is not the raft we began with. This is he's just clinging on. Wilson's gone.
But we get Wilson. Literally, but it's the worriness of like, where are you? It's like that. Where are you? And then of course this next scene I really like. I think it's quite a good part of the movie because of course he's holding on to the raft with whatever rope he's got left so he doesn't lose the raft, but he's struggling to save Wilson. He's struggles and struggles and struggles, and it's kind of really sad. It's like that moment where you know he can't lose the raft, but he's gonna lose his best friend. So if he loses the raft, he dies. But if he doesn't do it, he loses his best friend. And it's kind of like a very clever poetic writing, like on their part, but it does give you that kind of like moment of like, I feel really sad. I feel he needs, please save Wilson. And you get emotionally attached to the ball. It's a ball like that. And
volleyball. It's a bloody volleyball. Literally a bloody volleyball.
Yeah.
It is.
But you do get so emotionally attached of like,
no, 100%. So when I asked,
he gets close and you're like, and he's just, no, give him another meter. Give him another meter.
No, and it's just well done, and it's got emotional impact. And it was funny because when I asked my wife, I'm like, do you want to watch Castaway with me? I got to watch it for film club. She was like, no, I can't watch that movie. I'm like, why? She's like, it's so sad. I'm like, really? She's like, the Wilson scene, he loses Wilson. I'm like, when was the last time you watched it? She's like, I was a kid. And then I was like, well, yeah, like watch it as an adult. It won't be that sad. Like it's just a volleyball. So then we're watching it, and then the scene comes up, and I'm like, oh shit, this is actually still really sad, even as an adult. I'm like, crap.
It is.
It does. You feel every. It does. You feel every bit of pain, and when he's saying, I'm sorry, Wilson, I'm sorry," like that, and you're like, oh, I'm feeling that, and then you're like, as you go, it's a bloody volleyball, but you're like, oh, I'm feeling it, like how it's shot, like, and like where Wilson is he's just going, and it's just you can't
just
get
right
to
there.
him, and
Saving him is right there,
like,
but you can't. It's like those nightmare dreams people have when, like, you know, you have a bad dream that somebody you love is in danger, and you're trying to save them, but you're just out of reach, and the dream won't let you get there. It's this ultimate nightmare. Again, the theme of this movie is just nightmare scenarios that humans can think of.
And then you get from that even more. This is where it really got me. This was where, so like, I knew the Wilson part wouldn't be that sad, and even though it is, but I'm like, that was the part where I was like, well, you watched it when you were a kid, like watch it as an adult, you won't think it got me. He still got me. Then
it did a bit, but then this was where I was like, oh crap, this is actually really sad. So I was shocked to see it still have that same emotional punch for me, even as, you know, like I said, I've watched this a million times, but I hadn't watched it since I was maybe, God, at least 10, 15 years ago. So a teenager at the time. So watching it again now, I was like, I'm an adult, you know, I'm telling my wife, like, you're an adult, you can watch it this time, you won't be sad. Watching this, I was like, I could feel the emotion building up. I'm like, oh my God, I was wrong. It's still very sad and very well
that's
acted.
it. Like, it's literally him. You can just hear that, like, great, like you can feel Tom Hanks like as Chuck, like you just forget it's Tom Hanks, because it feels like, oh, you need to give this person a hug. Literally, what is wrong? Like, he's literally like, you wouldn't know it was an actor crying. It looks like somebody, a real life person, literally utterly distraught onto this. And then of course he's literally sobbing, and it kind of gives up. And I got this point, and I always think it's because we're going to get out of this together. When we're friends, we're going to do this together. And this is all he's planned for 4 or 5 years. We're going to do it together. But when he like puts the oars into the water, and he's just like, oh, he's given up. That's it. And he kind of just like lays down, and that is it, you know. And again, it's I'm guessing it is the well, because basically about, you don't see it, but from the water spurt, like, and then it kind of wakes him up with the tanker going past. It's a tanker,
I was thinking it was a splash from the wake of the ship.
Oh, did you know? Like I thought it was a whale.
Yeah, so I thought whale too, just because the spray sound, because it happens a couple times, to the point where I even said to my wife, I'm like, how are there so many whales around him? Because it seemed like it was like the 3rd or 4th time it had happened.
Yeah, the girlfriend thought it was a whale.
It was, but could have been wrong.
Bow of the ship is gonna have spray with those watching those cargo ships all day long in Baltimore, but the very bow, the spray is gonna come up. That's where I thought, but you're right, it could be the whales.
That's why I thought it would be a reference back to what we, he's the savior. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be a reference there. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be like they've saved him.
And by the way, when it was the one whale, in my brain already, it was more than one whale, because if they travel in pod, they're not lonely creatures. They travel in pods, so there's going to be more. So that makes sense. Maybe it was. And he just like, and again, we've all seen this film before, but the scene where the camera starts to pan out from him and you see the obvious cargo ship just cruising next to him, but he doesn't see it, and you're like, turn around,
yeah,
turn around, because what if it had gone by? And again, we've all seen it before, but what if it had gone by? Turn around, pay attention. How
these
can you
are
miss the
beasts.
ship?
Like, these are beasts. It must have been to, like, they've spotted the alarms go off, mate.
I was gonna say, and how can they? These
and I like,
ships
somebody must have been outside, literally the
had
right
to
point, the
be.
right, having a cigarette or something, going, what's that? Because otherwise you're not going to see that. Like,
There's
I've
no
been
way.
on some
you
You
just
massive
assume
think
it's
ships in the past.
debris, right?
Yeah, you would be.
if
Yeah,
you've
from that
never
distance, you're
stood
never going to see
next
it.
to a modern
Yeah.
cargo ship, they are stacked.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's cargo inside, but on the top deck, there are 15 to 20 of these cargo containers stacked on the top of these. So you wonder why they don't topple over, but there's more down the bottom than there is up top. And as evidenced by the one that hit the bridge in Baltimore and took an entire, I mean, that was not a little bridge. That's a huge bridge. But so now to get to Baltimore, on the other side of the water to my parents' house, there are 2 tunnels. And when you get to the tunnel, you're next to all of these ships. I swear to goodness, when I was little, they weren't this massive. They are so massive now. So absolutely, to see this little guy on a little raft on these huge cargo, it, had to be someone looking out and, to see it, because it would have just looked like a piece of trash on the ocean.
Yeah.
Right.
And
we
from
do
bridge.
see, as the boat continues, or the ship rather continues to
we
move
see a
along,
couple,
there's a few people standing on
Yeah.
the bridge or whatever it is, right? Just to,
why they're out there, who knows? But
to make the whole story work, basically.
make it son of
Oh
a
my
gun.
gosh.
Yeah. But then you get, I like this next bit, because it would be the phone call to Kelly.
Yeah.
It's
To Kelly.
literally, and you can't hear what the other person's saying, but it's obvious they're saying, "Are you sitting down?" She's like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah, whatever.
It's like that. And then ba-dum, like that, and it's like, you do not need to know what they are saying. She just hits the floor, and I'm like, yeah, most people probably would do if that was their love of their life. It's just like, bang. It's like that. Yeah. By the way, Chuck, he's alive. We found him. It's like that. Can you imagine that phone call? Like, anybody you love, all right, like, you thought we're missing 5 years down the line, then all of a sudden, are you sitting down, right? Yeah. And then just getting that you couldn't believe it in your head. It just wouldn't make sense.
You can't, because as they said, they buried him. They buried a coffin, and he's like, what was in it? Yeah, well, I put some CDs in there, and we put a picture
some
in there.
Elvis CDs.
Elvis CDs. Well, I like that, because
Beeper.
that's a reference that Elvis, because he gives the kid at the beginning with the Russian to Elvis, because he's from Memphis, isn't he? So
I totally missed that connection too. Yes, that would have been.
That's why they did
Oh,
it.
duh. I wasn't thinking. I was thinking of the song.
Now that you say it, I'm
Sender.
like, duh.
That's why. Oh
Memphis,
my god.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that. But
guys.
I know, that's embarrassing for us, Sandy.
I know.
The British guy got it.
That's only because my girlfriend loves Elvis, so
who doesn't?
She got it before me, so I'll give you
good taste in music.
Yeah.
So to this point, everything we know about Chuck, every single thing, is that he's a good guy, right? He's conscientious at his job, not just because he wants, not for selfish reasons, not because he wants to get ahead, but because he actually cares about people getting packages, right? You see him with family. You see him with Kelly. You see him by himself, caring for a colleague whose, wife is ill. All of these things, every single thing you know about this guy is that he's a good guy. And in your brain, the good guy always gets the girl, right? This is where there's that bit of hope, that little teeny tiny bit of hope. And unfortunately, it's not going to be. And it's it's good that it's not if he would have gotten the girl, it would have been a cliche.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, we had to have an interesting film and an interesting ending that is being set up here. But I didn't think about it the first few times I saw this film, but this time he's a good guy, and you just really it hits harder because he's done nothing wrong. And then to cast Chris Noth in this
Mr. Big.
Mr. Big.
My wife is a massive fan of Sex and the City.
Oh my God. I hope you didn't know that before, Jay.
She watched it literally on repeat all week long. Anytime she's got control of the TV downstairs and she's doing things around the house, Sex and the City is on, or Law and Order SVU. Those are two favorites. So Sex and the City.
Sorry, Sandy, did you know it was
on?
So I
know Mr. Big.
Okay, so of course we get like like before we just go into Sex and the City. It was like so the fun fair's happened. He has to do this meet and greet. The guy who I thought his mate who he says about, you know, the cancer thing and the thing. Then we get the fun fair, and he's going to meet Kelly, and then of course. I was waiting for like Tim to do some. Girlfriend just went, Mr. Big. And I went, how do you know his name's Mr. Big? And then she just went, it's Mr. Big. Sex in the City. Oh, and I was like, oh, and she went, oh, he did some really bad things and he got killed off in the new ones. And I went, what did he do? He went, oh, he got me too. And I went, oh, did he? I went, okay.
Yeah, it was the typical what was going to be the politically correct end for Mr. Big. If it weren't going to be securities and exchange fraud or insider trading, it was going to be Me Too. But
So
we had a little pause moment. I was like, go on, tell me.
Like that. So I had he showed up. Yep, got the same thing on my end. Mr. Big, I didn't know he was in this.
Yeah, exactly.
It was funny because my wife was like, you know, it's also really sad that like he doesn't get the girl, his wife leaves him. I'm like, well, his wife doesn't leave him. Like, there's more into the character that we discussed as the movie went on. But she was all, you know, like, and it's reasonable. You know, there's the idea that you know, she already had a failed marriage, and then she didn't get to marry the guy she wanted to marry. So, you know, she took the opportunity to say, I'm not going to let opportunities, you know, go by me again. I'm going to marry this guy. Obviously, she assumes Chuck is dead at this point. It's been 4 years. So that whole thing, because she was even like, don't you feel like she moves on a little too fast? And I'm like, well, no, because you got to understand her character. She's had a failed marriage. She's now had a missed opportunities. So now it's this. And then when we get to this scene, she's like, I didn't know it was Mr. Big. I'd probably marry him too. I'm like, oh my God, stop it.
My girlfriend had to kind of work it out. She was like, okay.
We can have a whole conversation on Sex and the City.
It was like, he's been there 5 years, let's say. And I was like, mate, okay, let's call it 5. I went, okay, let's call it 5. She went, but Blake, she's got a kid. That kid's probably at 3. She's moved on after like 2 years. So you had a year to mourn and then like no hope. And then she went with Mr. Big. And I was like, all right, go overcomplicated about Mr. Big. But yeah, it would.
Yeah, that apparently made it all right. But
but apparently Mr. Big is, I'm guessing he's the charmer in Sex and the City. I wouldn't.
Well,
he's like the main romantic interest for the lead character.
Not
it's a big will they won't they, but like you know, more kind of crappy to one another, I guess, in a way. I don't know. It's like weird.
So indifferent when he tries to be a better person. See, this is one of those like they're trying to overly give girl power to all these characters. And when he finally does start to become a real person instead of a business obsessed person.
Oh, we were talking about Mr. Big, yeah?
Yeah.
This is Mr. Big now. We've taken a detour to Sex in the City.
She disses him. And it's supposed to be this girl power moment.
Okay, Jay, can I just stop? Jay, shall I go and get my missus and you get yours and we just let
we can just we can start a whole new podcast.
No, but then let me say one more, it just makes it worse because in the show she does that, and then in the dreadful, horrific movie, which I don't recommend to anyone, she does it again and she leaves him at the altar. And it's like, okay, be done with it then. Like, don't be whining about him when you're really the nasty, soulless person that you are. That's all I'm going to say on. So I do have a little place in my heart for Mr. Big. I think everyone does. Jay, do you?
I will say Sex in the City is not a recommend for me. That's where I'll leave it.
Yep.
It's got its audience. I respect what it did. And as you know, as long as it was on and all that, but it is, it's not a recommend for me.
I think, she's had it on once, and I was like, "What is it?" And the new one, whatever that one's called,
Oh, it's
like they did a
and just like
and
that,
just like that.
and just
yeah,
like that.
my
I
wife
watched
was
an
not a
episode,
fan.
and I was like,
Evil.
"This is some of the worst, terrible, tick boxing, hypocritical shit I've ever seen in my life." And she was like,
So evil.
"Yeah, it's really bad." I went, "But you're still watching every episode." She went, "I know, I need to know the end of the story." So she watched it,
Find out how
even though
it
it was bad. Yeah, she was like, "It's terrible."
I'm like that
And I
myself
was like,
sometimes. If I start a story,
Yeah.
even if it's crap, I just need to see how it ends. I have
I
a
was
hard
like,
time letting a
yeah.
story go, even if it's awful.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh,
Hey,
I
Jay.
hate it."
Perfect timing.
Oh, and
there
the
you go.
dog's
Oh,
barking, so I'm gonna
yeah.
mute for a second here.
Yeah.
Taz is
So,
going nuts. Yeah, there is a dog in Sex in the City too. I think something bad happens to
yeah,
the dog.
like the women.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I
It
thought, I
is.
was like, "Jeez." That's it. But yeah, anyway, back to Castaway.
Back to quality. Back to quality.
So I like this one because, of course, they've come. He's the disappointment of Mr. Big taking kind of Kelly back to the car. He realizes that she was there. They kind of she has a bit of a breakdown moment, and he kind of reassures her, gets her back into the car to have the moment, and then I do like the next scene. I think it's very subtle. It's like there's like a spread, like the celebration, like is all over. He's very looking like he just out of set of Forrest Gump, like how he's dressed, but from that, but like the spread is brilliant. Everything's there, you know, there's champagne flowing, and he's even got like the lobster leg,
crab legs,
like, crab, like whatever, yeah, like that big, and he's just like throws it down, and he picks up the electric kind of like the like lighter stick, I suppose you want to call
lighter,
it.
Yeah, we call it a grill lighter here.
And I love that because he's just like, oh my god, straight away he doesn't have to say anything, he just switches it on and off. You know, he's
like,
just
I'm
thinking,
carrying one of these
oh my
for
god,
the rest of my life.
yeah, if I had that out, life would have been easier.
Well, you can just feel I kind of like how all these scenes play out once he gets back, even with the whole FedEx kind of like big press conference thing that they do. Because I like how he plays it, because like, not for nothing, but that I know they say it's been about a month since they found him, and now he's finally kind of like been to the hospital, and they've, you know, probably done some mental wellness checks on him to make sure he's ready to kind of get back into real life. And as he's trying to get into it, there's this whole big fanfare of the press conference and all that, and it's a lot. Like, it's a lot for somebody who just went through what he went through, even this little party at the hotel room or whatever it is. Like, it's a lot for somebody who's just been on an island for 4 years to then have to deal with all this commotion and these people talking about getting back and going fishing, and like as if he was just away on like some trip or like some health sabbatical or something like that. Like, no, this was a completely different thing. And the way he plays it is just stone-faced. He's not speaking much in any of this. The only time he speaks really is to ask where Kelly is. I will say I hated this little scene of Mr. Big, we'll call him, because I forget what his name is, if he even has one in the movie. How he comes to meet him and the Kelly thing, because it just comes off as Kelly's so cold. Like, you know, it's that excuse of like, well, she's been through a lot and this, and it's like, dude, she's been through a lot. He's been through a lot.
Exactly.
So it makes her like, the least you could do is come show the guy some decency, and definitely not send your husband in. But and what's annoying about it is it makes you kind of mad at Kelly. And then the next scene with her makes you like her again. So it's almost like
I think it's supposed to do that. I think it's supposed to set
for
up
sure. I think that's what they were wanting to do. It just, I kind of didn't like how they did it. I almost would have preferred that. Maybe she just doesn't show up and we don't get those excuses. Like, I could have done better with her just being a little bit scared to show up than getting excuses of it was hard for her and all that. That just kind of made it.
Because I think it explains it at the end of the movie. We'll get to is the split difference of like, I'm married, I have a kid, you're the love of my life. And that struggle is going, I'm here with my husband. She shouldn't have gone with her husband for one thing.
And I think
it's like that. Maybe that's where like it goes wrong. But yeah, I didn't mind it. I could understand like that indifference you would have, because you're split now into different worlds. You have this old world that's now present, and then you have your new life, I suppose, with your husband and your kid. So it's I can understand where it's going to be, you know, you're going to be torn, you know, between that. Because whatever she's been with a guy, whatever, like, let's say 3 years, she's gonna like, you know, feelings for the guy. He's got a kid with him,
it's good.
married him. Yeah, so
it's a tough spot to be in. I almost just wish they went like they didn't have her as part of his comeback, home thing, and that it was just something he was going to do on his own to go find her and see her. Then introduce that part of it. But I will say the one somewhat redeeming quality of her in that scene is that little bit of kind of when he sees her out the window, she does make the attempt to want to come back, but the husband's kind of like, no, like this is what you do. So, you could kind of blame Mr. Big for it, I guess, but I don't know. It felt like a little unnecessary to make you kind of hate her, and because in the moment, me and my wife were just like, oh, why would she do that? I kind of hate her now after all this time of liking it. Of liking her character, and then obviously she redeems it again in the end with what we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, I didn't love the scene. I didn't hate it. I'm okay with it. I just didn't love it, type of thing.
We have an Our Sex and the City chat going on. Yeah.
I just remembered
I'm just gonna out all of you now.
I just remembered I probably spelled his name wrong, but when Mikhail Baryshnikov was on Sex and the City, those were the best episodes ever.
My wife
and he
always
was an older man too, and boy, he was hot. I'm just saying. Anyway,
my wife always liked. Was it the guy Aiden? She always liked that one, the one that was like good at like working on the cabin or whatever it was.
Yes,
she always liked that one, but she always says
guy.
Carrie's not good enough to have ended up with him. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, you're right. The men were always better off without her.
Yeah, that's what she's like. I loved Aiden, but Carrie wasn't good enough to end up with him. I'm like, all right, sounds like you've made up your mind on that one. Fair enough. I'll take your word.
Yeah, this is where like
that's fantastic.
She is.
Jade, it sounds like you and my wife would get along very well for sure.
Oh,
my
definitely.
God, there we go.
Jade is awesome, by the way.
Would you everybody like a Sex and the City podcast? Because I think we got 3 candidates on your channel, not mine. Oh, great, brilliant. Anyway, back to the real movie. Oh my God, there you go. Yes, I'm in. There you go.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. It'd be like the longest stream, be like 12 hours of like, like nattering. There you go. Oh, there we go.
No. Says Stacey's Geek about people talking on and on and on. Okay,
fair enough.
Okay. Anyway, so hold it. Where are we in the movie? He's now gone back to the hotel room.
Yes.
He's now light on, light off, light on, light on. He's not in the bed. He's on the floor, and he's looking back at the pocket watch. He's kind of got that, and he's got the light on and off, and looking at exactly what he did when he had the torch kind of scenario. So it's giving it a bit of that, and then I'm guessing it's either now somebody gave her address, because he just kind of turns up, doesn't he? Like gets a cab.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like, was this where they lived? And I don't know. I would have thought, like, not for nothing, but if you have a tragedy like that, it's typically kind of hard to stay in the same house you might have lived in with somebody. So typically you move, things like that. I was
because she actually makes a reference, because he goes in and goes, "Oh, this is a nice house," and she goes,
"Oh, does he? Okay, I didn't even catch that."
Yeah, she goes, "So is the mortgage." Yeah, so like it has to be a new house.
Somebody must have given him the address.
Yeah, and then of course he turns up really late, and she goes, "Oh, don't worry, I'm still awake," at the door. Of course, then they go in. It's, I suppose what you said, Jay, this is where you get to like her again.
Yeah, it's a very redeeming scene for her. And it's almost back to back. There's the hotel scene kind of sandwiched in the middle, but yeah, this is kind of what you expected Kelly to respond with. Like, yes, she has that at a very understandable conflict of she moved on. She thought you had died in this wreck and all this stuff. You get to see the effort she put into trying to find you and make sure that like she exhausted all options that she could within her realm of capabilities.
She made maps.
Yeah, like all that. It's
and
so
she still
nice.
had it all after 4 years. She had a whole room with stuff trying to find him. And I think in the earlier scene, it felt like she was treating him like a stranger, and now she's treating him like the man that she loved. And
Right.
even when he leaves and then she says, come back, and he comes back, and oh, it's, she still has his car, so he can take his car. But she says, you are the love of my life. She says it. And I think that makes it better, even though it's not going to end the way we want, and the good guy is not going to get the girl. She tells him, you were the love of my life, and that means something to him, and it certainly means something to her.
Right. And that's why, I love this scene. I love the way they end this story, because you're right. It's not the cliche, everything works out in the end. It's a tough scene. It's a tough idea to think, I'm married to somebody who I do love, and we have a family and a kid, but you are the true love of my life. It's just, it for these obviously insane, out of the normal circumstances, it didn't work out. But so like you get this is a perfect kind of way to represent the conflict somebody like her would have in this spot, given the fact that you were forced to move on. You did, you carried your life. You even probably took a lesson from this. And that's maybe why you got married this time, when you were, we saw the car scene in the beginning where she's like, oh, I'm petrified or terrified when he hands her the ring, because she's still scarred from her previous marriage that failed. And you took the lesson from losing this opportunity with him to now push you towards taking that opportunity the next time it arose. Like, there's so much going on here that I like, and it's such a great scene for the two of them, and a really, I would say realistic kind of ending for people in this scenario. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, the scene before with Mr. Big, I just didn't love it as much as I obviously loved, the way this
one's got heart. This is got heart.
And that's what exactly. And that scene felt so cold and heartless with her not showing up. So for her to redeem it and show, and for him as well, obviously, but to put that much heart into this one, I thought was great.
Because when she's kept their car, and then he goes to go off, and this is like the scene, like that she chases after him, and then they embrace into the. We have our second rain kiss. After
yes, I was thinking that.
Yeah,
much better done. One still cliche, but much better done.
And I always think where is Mr. Big? I'm guessing he's out with a daughter. I'm guessing.
I was wondering that myself. I'm like, is he away or is he not home?
I figured he was just asleep.
Well, maybe, but I'm guessing there's always going to be that nosy neighbor.
Yeah.
Well,
because
he's reversed back quite loudly. There's been a cab turn up.
Yeah,
it's literally somebody's going to be. Ooh, do you know what happened last week? Some gossip queen around the neighborhood, isn't it? Yeah, but it did think. But yeah, the whole the heart. You can see the heartbreak of it, and the innocent like love between them. And it's like, like, you're the love of my life. And all that, like, it's like he doesn't say much, he just listens. There's a lot of like he's like, I love you too, kind of thing. And I just want to hear your voice. And it's even when he gets her, like, they go into the car, and like you can see that moment where he's hoping that they might drive off. I'm guessing into like as Hollywood, but not in this, like into the sunset. But he just goes, you need to get back. And he has that realization. Yeah, you got a family now. And it's like that. And it's like that, you want a happy ending, but this isn't that kind of movie. And he plays it out well. He's like how he is. It's like, like her just, with I just got to go, and like, they don't need to say anything. He understands. Like, I was gone a while.
Right. And that's what it is. Like, he's a good guy. He gets it. He understands, and he knows, it's one of those cases of, I know the best thing for you is for me to make this easier for you. Because if I sit here and I try to play the be with me stuff, it's going to ruin your life, your marriage, it could end in resentment towards one or another, whatever. He knows the best way to play it is, as much as it pains me, I have to make this easier for her. And I have to tell her it's not going to work. You have a family to get back to. And I it just goes to because
he's a good guy.
Like it goes towards his character.
Like, you can see how great a good guy he is, because in the next scene when he's talking to his friend about the situation, she did the maths, Kelly had to move on, everybody had to tell him. But even in that, he apologizes to him for not, I should have been there for you. You had to bury me. You had to then and then you buried your wife, and like that. And
I'm sorry I wasn't
like,
there.
I'm sorry. Like, he's not self-centered about, look, I because I was missing, I lost out on Kelly. She moved on. It's literally he understands, the like
doesn't make it easier,
what's happening with Kelly and what's happened to you. It's not about me. Yeah, eyes are on me, and I have to now kind of move on. But like this next scene, the dialogue in this is great. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So like, because he just like he's got his ice, and like and he's just he's just like, again, like I'm guessing like what Sandy said about like the self-delete scene with Wilson. It just needs to get it out there.
And I think he even references that to the guy. I think he tells him like that he tried it and that it's failed and all that.
Story here.
Yeah.
It's a great scene. It's great dialogue. It's well delivered, and it's just, again, that great perspective of like, obviously this isn't something most people can relate to, because who would have, who's really gone through this type of thing? Unfortunately, obviously people they've been stranded on spots before, but in terms of the normal average person, who watches this movie, it's not super relatable scenario, but because of the way it's written, because of the way it's acted, and because of it's specifically the dialogue's written, but the story as well, you can really understand that like he's got a whole different perspective on life at this point. He's gone from time being, super important to him in the sense of getting work done in his career and all that, and getting, packages out to people, that whole thing, to the idea of time being completely different on this island, where like none of those social constructs matter, work, nothing. Time is now just a matter of survival and how long you can do it, to now being back and realizing, I lost time on that island. I lost things on that island, but so did the people who lost me. And it's a really well-grounded type of perspective to have, that you would expect somebody to have coming back from that scenario, where like, none of this stuff we worry about every day really matters at the end of the day. Like, what matters the most is the people around you and being there for them. And that's what he cares about the most. It's like Stasis just said, all eyes are on him at this point in terms of the big return home, but he's not the only person who lost things in this 5 year. His friends thought they lost a friend. His girlfriend thought she lost the love of her life. So he's not the only one who lost. And to have that self-aware mentality is, again, just speaks to the character of Chuck.
And they got the Tennessee Titans, apparently.
Yeah, and the Houston Oilers.
The Houston Oilers, and then they moved. Became the
Sandy, I'm curious if you remembered it as well. The second she starts talking about that Super Bowl, I immediately turned to my wife. I'm like, "Yep, Eddie George came up short on the 1 yard line of the end zone."
I totally remember that Super Bowl.
I remember it like it was yesterday. Kurt Warner in the Greatest Show on Turf beat the Titans. Eddie George came up just short on the 1 yard line.
Okay, so what year was that then? Because that's
what
year was that? Let me get time later.
Was it the 1990? Because the Pats would win the next year in 2001. So I believe that was the 2000 Super Bowl.
I think it was 2000 or 1999.
Because we being the Patriots, we beat the Rams with the Adam Vinatieri last minute field goal in 2001 was our first title. So I believe it was the year before in 2000.
What Rams? Because
at that point it was the St. Louis Rams. So that's who the Titans. The St. Louis Rams made it back-to-back years. So they beat the Titans in the one that's referenced in the movie. Then they played us and we beat them. And we had no business beating them, but damn it, we did it.
Yes,
and then started 20 years.
I can feel a fist bump there.
Oh yeah, because then came 20 years of dominance, and now we might be looking at 20 years of sucking.
Well, isn't your coach making headlines today for some? Your former
probably.
coach?
Bill. Yeah, who knows? Bill's always making headlines for something.
He's gonna go coach at UNC.
Oh really? I had not seen that.
He's gonna go coach at UNC.
Ironically, where our University of North Carolina.
Okay.
Ironically, that's where we just got our quarterback from. Drake May just came from UNC. Interesting. I had not seen that. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah, Bill Belichick to North Carolina. Talks get major update today. I know. So normally, pro coach is not going to go back to college except in the case of a Harbaugh or two and a Belichick, apparently.
You kind of have to flame out of the NFL, basically. You have to kind of have a bad stretch, get fired, and you go back there to kind of rehab your career.
So he's going to
somebody of Belichick's caliber like doesn't typically do that. The last one, well,
Yes,
I
it
couldn't
was a
even say
Harbaugh.
Nick Saban because Nick Saban didn't really have success in the NFL. His
He
has
didn't
always
have
been in
success in the
college,
NFL.
but he was probably one of the, you know, last ones I can
Relocate,
think of
easy
that like
street,
did that
lot
and
of
had
money.
success.
It's Jim Harbaugh, right? Going
Yeah,
from
Jim
the
Harbaugh, because
49ers to
he had
Michigan.
success there. He had some success in 49ers. They didn't win in that old Super Bowl against
No,
his brother with the
because
Ravens.
the
Yes, that's
Ravens
right. Your
beat
Ravens
them.
beat them with Joe Flacco.
So Stacey's, it was Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. It was the
Two
Harbaugh
brothers. Yep,
because
two
it was
brothers.
Jim Harbaugh, who used
They
to
were
be
head coaches.
quarterback of the Chicago Bears, against John Harbaugh, coach of your Baltimore Ravens.
Well, at least my sons, he bought him a t-shirt.
Boy, we've gone on a bunch of detours. Who would have
he's
known
the last
Castaway would
big
have
coach
taken
to
us
do that.
Sex in the City
and we're not
and
even
football.
That is shocking. I hadn't heard that
American
yet.
football.
Thank you for letting me know. I'll have to look into that story.
Oh, you didn't know the Harbaugh?
No, that I knew. I meant the Belichick news. I remember the Harbaugh very well.
It just popped up this morning.
Crazy.
But now we're back to like, and then it made me think I need to rewatch the beginning of the film, which I haven't done, but I need to, with the artist who's, you know, creating these wings. And I think what it symbolizes, besides hope, is like, this is his purpose. And for someone like Chuck, he needs his purpose, again, because he is so good at his job. He's so committed to people. And gosh darn it, he's going to deliver this package. He's going to do it, come heck or high water 4 years later. And unfortunately, when he gets to the address, she's not there, or he doesn't know who it is. He leaves a note. But then as he's driving back up this long and dusty country road, he meets up with her. And she gives this whole spiel about, you know, she's like, where are you going? And he's like, I kind of don't know. And she says, well, let me help you. See, without him asking, she says, well, let me tell you, if you go this way, you're going to be in Memphis. If you go this way, you're going to be on the West Coast. And that attitude, super friendly, helpful, like he's good guy. She's just good lady. She's just not only helpful, you know, obviously she's an artist. She tries to bring joy. I want to rewatch the beginning and see if I can learn a little more about her, because we really don't know much about her. But without knowing it, and she never will, or she doesn't know it now, because he doesn't say, oh, by the way, I left a package on your door, because he doesn't see the wings on her pickup until she's driving away. And who knows, maybe he turns around and goes back up the road. You know, we don't know. But without knowing it, she has given him purpose. And I think that package, in some way, as well as with his hope for Kelly and that locket that he looked at, I think looking at Kelly, you know, gave him the person he wanted to come back to. But Chuck also needs his purpose for the greater good, for the greater community, for his business, what have you. And that package gave him that purpose. And I think those two things helped him to carry on and make it through those 4 years.
And I even add another. Sorry,
at the end, I see that completely different. I see, the draw of I'm that, but at the end with the crossroads and the symbology, what we have with the crossroads in other movies and books and all that, I saw it as, this is the new beginning. You can do whatever you want. Look down these highways, whichever route you want to take.
Could be. Yeah, I agree.
It's your new beginning. He's literally, this is your last. I saw it as, this is your final package that he would deliver. That was it. And now his new life begins at this point.
Oh, I think the two can go together.
You need to pick your crossroads. You know, you're at the crossroads of your life, which way you're going to go. So that's how I saw it. So that is different. You know, it's good though, because they don't give it. It's our interpretation. So that's quite good.
And
sorry,
no, I was going to say, I think the one other thing too, with the determination to deliver this package, is it represents the last thing on the island that kept him going, that he can actually see through, because you got to keep in mind at this point, he's failed Wilson, because Wilson's gone. he has. Oh, did we mention that we see a little new Wilson volleyball in the car on the way down to the dropping off this package? There is a little nod to that. But at this point, he's failed Wilson. He's made it back to Kelly, but Kelly's no longer, available for him. And the last thing that kept him alive, or saved his life, as he puts it, on this island was this package. So it's that determination to just get that. Like, if there's one thing I'm not going to fail that I set out to when I left that island, it's this, and I'm going to do that. Which I liked. And then I also like in my head canon to think that he goes back down that road and goes to introduce himself properly to the girl, and it maybe sets off this whole new thing. And in my head canon, I like to think that that's what the choice he made of that, because I do think the crossroads does represent, and especially the way she describes it, where, this way takes you that way, this way takes you that way, and this way, there's infinite ways you can go depending on what you choose here. I do think it represents that. But I also like to think, he's still being guided by that package a little bit, where, okay, that's still my compass, so I'm going to go back down this road first and see what's there, which would be, going back to actually meet her properly. But that's also a little bit of my own headcanon, so I can't say that that's the case. But like you said, I love an ending like this, because you do get to interpret it how you want to, and try to make your own assumption at what comes next.
Yeah, and then that fade out movie. Ta-da! Now, very long movie. And Jay, let's go through your recommendation, your scores, and what your final thoughts are. As it was your pick.
So as I said earlier, I didn't realize this was my pick when it first came up. I kind of forgot putting it on the list. It is a movie that I've seen so many times, because it has just always been on TV when I was a kid, back in the day, that, those movies from that time were kind of getting more play because they were more recent, more relevant. It's something I've seen in its entirety a bunch of times, but even more so just in those kind of bits and pieces of flicking through the channels, like we always say, and you stop on to watch it for a bit because it's on, type of thing. So I've always liked it, but I was surprised I had put it on the list, because I didn't really remember it, because it didn't stand out to me as one of my favorites. Getting the chance to be, as The Wheel often does, picking a movie that kind of has been off our radar for a little bit, or might have never been on our radar, it was great to rewatch this one. I kind of fell in love with it again. I really, really love this movie. There's so much about it that I like. Fundamentals are all really strong throughout it. The writing's good in terms of story and dialogue. I think the dialogue probably excels a little bit more than the story itself, but that's nothing against the story. It's just there's some really good dialogue in there. The themes, the concepts, the acting, the scenery is beautiful on that island. The cinematography's not, it's not otherworldly, but it's really good. You get some beautiful shots of the island. I like the stuff they do with the plane crash and the kind of ocean survival scene that happens immediately after the plane crash, like we talked about, with the chaotic nature of it, the difficulty in kind of seeing what the hell's even going on, all that kind of stuff. Some clever tricks and things like that were done. All in all, just the acting, I don't know if I mentioned that yet. I might be being rambling here, but the acting, I think, is really strong from Tom Hanks in this. And others as well. Helen Hunt, I think, turns in a pretty solid performance. His friend there, who I'm forgetting the actor's name and the character's name, but his friend with the ill wife, I think in the little roles he does is pretty good. Mr. Big makes you hate him for being the one that comes in and delivers the unfortunate news. But across the board, I think the acting's really good and all that. So I definitely recommend it, and I give it a very strong 7.5. I give it a 7.5. I really love this movie.
Now, Sandy, you didn't watch it on your plane. We can forgive that.
I did not.
The opening.
That was not going to happen. I almost thought
no.
about it, and I was like, what was I thinking? I am
Did
not
you watch
going to watch
live instead, did you? Just to like...
Say that again?
What, did you just watch a live instead?
Oh, no, I
that's even worse. What? Yeah.
No, I ended up doing work.
Okay.
Which was okay. So before I get to my recommendation, this film did make money. It was made on a budget of $85.1 million. It made $427.2 million at the box office. That's $798 million today. That's a huge, and again, you're right. We were riding that Tom Hanks wave, as it were, of just box office gold for him. He was a huge box office draw and probably still is. He did get nominated for Oscar, BAFTA, and Golden Globe for Best Actor. He won the Golden Globe, and it also received an Oscar nomination for Best Sound. One of the independent award shows, I think the Cinema Critics Award, which is a very small independent award. Might be the wrong name. Created a special category for Wilson called Best Inanimate Object, and Wilson won for Best Inanimate Object in 2001. Now, I did want to just share a little bit. There's this whole thing probably culminating in the early 2000s with heavy duty product placement in films. I think probably for you Brits, the most egregious were the later James Bond films, right? Between, the cars, the watches, just everything was product placement. Some of the films actually looked like commercials.
Looks like the scene out of Wayne's World.
Yes, which was kind of putting it on the, it's kind of on the nose. But after that, some changes did occur in the late 2000s about product placement in films. You shouldn't be going to a film just to watch a commercial, right? So some things did change, but I think folks may have thought, oh, FedEx, probably paid to be in this film. No. FedEx initially, the film was written using FedEx as the company. When the writers went to FedEx and the producers went to FedEx and said, hey, are you cool with this? Initially, they, quote, had a heart attack about depicting a FedEx plane crash in a film. But the producers convinced them. And after reading the full script, they saw that FedEx was, being shown as a company that really cares about its customers. And so they were okay with it. And they were so okay with it that while they didn't pay for product placement, they did provide all of the logistical support for the film. So they did all the transportation to and from the island. So in a way, they did provide goods and services.
There was a when on the original screenplay, they made up the I suppose the postal company, but then they kind of went, we need a real one. They went to FedEx originally. Yeah, like you say, FedEx went, no, plane crash, really bad publicity, blah, blah. So they rewrote it and were ready to pitch it at UPS and all the other ones to see if anybody. Then FedEx, of course, realized, let's go back. Whoever the producers was managed to persuade them. Look, it doesn't show you in a bad light.
No,
it's just a clear.
It's showing as caring about.
And I think it works better. Like it could have been UPS, one of the other big ones. It could have been anyone. I think it works having a real one there. It makes it relatable because everybody's heard of FedEx, the other one. You've heard of them. So I think if it was made up, I don't think it would have. It would have felt as real as it did watching it.
I agree. And I didn't right away. My brain didn't go, oh, product placement, because it had to be a real one. It did. But again, they did provide logistical support, transportation of the crew and all. So they did, quote, give consideration.
And also, sorry to butt in, they also made a hell of a lot of money afterwards. They got 30% increase in employment of people. Applications.
People wanted to work for FedEx, and people could, here we can choose FedEx, UPS, DHL. We have a whole slew of different ones to choose from, and and people chose FedEx. Now I'm having my own issue with FedEx right now. I'm not going to talk about it here, but it worked out incredibly well. Now Wilson Sporting Goods, they really made out because they didn't pay anything. No one went to Wilson and said, oh, by the way, we're going to, because there's nothing controversial about, about Wilson, right? They didn't have to pay a dime. They did not provide the volleyball or volleyballs for free. They didn't provide any services for the product placement. And yet they also benefited from a sales boom following this film. So Wilson made out extraordinarily well. FedEx made out well too, but they actually, did provide some services, for consideration for the
But
film.
that's the thing, is like with like that, like, you know, like if you were like stupidly rich, there's like certain memorabilia you would want. Like you would want Indy's hat and whip.
Oh, for
I would
sure.
buy Wilson if they were like Wilson was up for
Oh,
auction.
yeah.
I'm buying Wilson. Like, imagine having the original, like the Wilson there. They'd be brilliant. But there's certain ones like they're iconic, you know, like just an
Yes.
Indy's hat and whip, and like you know, Darth Vader's like helmet up there. But you've got some really iconic like memorabilia. That is Wilson's iconic. This movie, if you said Castaway, everybody thinks of Wilson straight away, and it's like the, you know, it's just that. So yeah, like it's great product placement, and like I can understand how they made more money off the back of really providing, you know, like the logistics for FedEx, but like for the company, they must have been great. Like, because any kid who loved that movie or things, they got bought that ball. They probably never played volleyball again, but they got bought the ball. It probably came like a niche thing for it. So yeah, it's good.
And I always think they're known more for tennis.
Yes, I would
rackets,
say, yeah.
balls. I'm trying to think what else. Like I would
definitely
have
rackets. Yeah,
because I have a Louisville Slugger. I have all my brands, but I don't think I have a Wilson. I have a Spalding basketball, right? Spalding. Trying to think all my other brands. I don't think I have a Wilson. Probably have a can of tennis balls that are Wilson. But good on them. And also FedEx being a global company growing at that time, right? And the film being, international success is pretty cool. So my opinion, as I mentioned earlier, I would not have chosen to sit and watch this film. Again, when you think you know a film because it's playing in the background while you're doing 100 other things, and you think you know it, and as soon as I sat down to watch it last night, I was just completely gripped. In the beginning part that some others thought wasn't necessary, I really liked it. This film is long, but it doesn't feel long to me, even though you're going through, you skip to the 4 years, but it doesn't feel as long as it is.
I agree there. I thought it's paced.
Yeah.
Sorry not to jump in, but I do think it was paced very well. I actually watched it late last night and was like, I'll probably fall asleep during it because it's a long movie. But I looked up I pressed pause like at some random point just to see how far I was, and I'm like, I'm more than halfway through. I had no idea. Like it just goes.
I was going to do half as well because my brain was still on UK time. So it was like 2:45 a.m. in my brain. And I thought, well, I'll watch half, same thing. I didn't. I watched the whole thing. And I certainly there are a lot more layers to the film than I remember before. What I remember before is, guy trying to survive on a island, and good guy doesn't get the girl, but there's so much more, as we've discussed today. I give it a 6.5, and that's a really good score. And the reason it's not higher is I don't know that there's anything kind of groundbreaking, unique, landmark about the film. But Tom Hanks' performance is, and I hate to say it's a typical Tom Hanks, but that's a good thing. Like a typical Tom Hanks performance is an exceptional performance. And here, Abe mentioned Forrest Gump. When we start racking up all the, we did it last week, and when we start talking about all the Tom Hanks film, there's always one or two obvious ones that we forget because there are so many and because the roles are so different. What about the one about Elvis where he's playing Colonel Tom Parker? There's one where he's doing an accent and playing and playing an older man.
Philadelphia, he's amazing in that.
Philadelphia. I mean, here, we go on and on and on about the ones that we, that don't come top of mind. But just exceptional performances. He knows his stuff. Now, do you all know where he started? Do you know where he got his start?
It was a sitcom, wasn't it?
Bosom Buddies. Okay, Stacey, if you've
never
not
heard of it. Never heard of
this
it.
is gonna blow your mind. This is gonna blow your mind. When you have time, Google Bosom Buddies, and you're gonna see Tom Hanks dressing like a woman to be able to stay in an apartment, I think in San Francisco, because it's too expensive to find. Housing is so expensive, and there's a an apartment home that is only for women. So he and Peter Scolari have to dress like women, and their names are Buffy and Hildegard. Galador remembers it, and you will see this, and you'll be like, "This can't possibly be." It is. It's our very own Tom Hanks playing goofball,
Okay.
like he did sort of a little bit in Big.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, his early stuff, he was kind of that comedic actor. He only got serious later in the 90s, didn't he?
Turner and Hooch, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Blur.
Turner and Hooch. Was he Money Pit? Was he Money Pit?
Yes, Money Pit, and we had The Bachelor.
The Bachelor,
well.
all those goofball comedies. He started out like in his early 20s on this ridiculous sitcom. Bosom Buddies, and
I knew it was a sitcom, but I'm not familiar with it.
No, I have to. That's
Google it.
80s. What?
Oh, early 80s. Yeah, when you see the picture of him dressed in as a woman, and it was also around the time of Tootsie. A very poor take on. I love Tootsie. Tootsie's on the wheel because I put it on the wheel. I love Tootsie. But anyway, so I give it a 6.5, and it is a recommend. I do recommend you watch it. Now, is this a film initially when you ask yourself, is this a film you can watch over and over? And right away, I thought, no, this is a one-time film. But you know what? Now I want to go back and watch it again because I want to go look at that thread at the beginning of the artist. And I do want to mention, I don't know if Lance is still in the chat, but Lance had mentioned that he dedicated his second book to the actress Larry White, or Laurie White. And I did want to mention, unfortunately, this is probably the third film we've said this. She died young. She died in 2018 at age 52, unfortunately, of cancer. She was a country music singer, a vocalist who performed with several country stars, and she also produced several albums. So she helped produce an album for Toby Keith, and I think she wrote a few songs, one for Tammy Wynette. I'm not sure whom else that she wrote for, and I don't think she was in any other films. But yeah, unfortunately, a very sad end to a really interesting and productive career. And Lance, I will have to seek out your book so I can, in addition to reading your book, check out your dedication and find out how you knew Laurie White, because she seems like she was just a lovely person, just as lovely as she was as her character that she played here in this film. So definitely a recommend from me, and probably a good rewatch film too, because there are some more layers to it than I initially gave it credit for.
Yeah. Over to me, I'm guessing. Now this is like a strange, because I like this movie, and I remember, like, I think we've all said it's always on in the background. It's always on a channel. Like, there's always things, and you watch it like that. And it's been a while since I watched it A to B, I suppose you want to call it. And I must say, I remember liking the movie, and I forgot the movie, like the bits, except for the main bits. So it was actually good to put it on the list, Jay. Like I did enjoy watching the movie. A lot of it, I've seen it so many times. But I've seen it as you're doing something, and then it's on. If that makes sense, you're you're not paying attention. So it was good to really, again, probably since the first time, to pay attention. Now that's why I think this is it's not like a groundbreaking, I suppose, like Sandy said, like a movie, because you can just have it there. It's not one that you go, oh, you sit back and you have to pay attention. It can be on the background and it can bumble along. It's not one of those ones where you get, ooh, and then you sit down and you an hour's gone. You could get up and do something else, come back, and the movie's still going on, and you can follow it quite well, if that makes sense. Now, for me, I would give it a 7. Now I'm going to differ to you two. I'm going to knock off a point because it's too long. Because I think this would hurt people in the cinema. I think in the cinema, this is going to be too long. I think this is for a cinema movie. It's too long. For the TV, as we got on the big screens now, when you can move around, you can do stuff. I think it's a 7, but I think it's not. It does. I can see certain scenes are a cinema, but if I had to say things, it feels, as we know now, it feels like a HBO movie, but a very well done one. It's not a cinema classic. So, like, to have those hours in there, like, I just think it's a bit too long. There's a lot of scenes, and they are needed where they drag out because they want to show that loneliness. But I think for like, if you went and saw this at cinema, I can see a lot of cinema goers going, my bum's gone a bit too numb now. I'm getting a bit bored. This to be cut down and edited into like 2 hours. Just, I think, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the first opening sequence, is that really needed? Like, in Russia, could you have sped it on a bit sooner? It's there are certain things I'm like fair to bring it down. But I think I enjoy the movie. I will definitely watch it again. I've watched it multiple times. I enjoy it. It's one of those ones. It's a you don't have to watch it in its entirety to get the movie. That is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because you don't want to sit down and grip that movie and watch it all. There are certain other Tom Hanks ones where you want to watch it. You know, I'm not just saying Tom Hanks one, but you know, if a Lawrence of Arabia come on, I'm watching that because I get hooked in, I get dropped in. You get those movies where you go, oh, you know, I said to Sandy, I sat down because it was on it. It was it came from outer space, and I just was like, oh, I hadn't seen this one, and then just got hooked.
And this morning it was National Treasure for me. I was saying, oh my god, National Treasure's on! I gotta sit down and watch it.
So that's it. You just get like, oh,
I think that's fair because I think that's honestly kind of what watered down my memory of it is the fact that it is a little bit of that kind of one that you, for some reason, you can just throw it on in the background and it's kind of always on in the background in that sense. You know, I think it's one that really benefits from your opinion of it can benefit from sitting down and, you know, watching it in its entirety with the idea of kind of analyzing it more so than that, you know, background watching nature of it. Because, I think, like I said, I was surprised I had to put it on the list because of that watered down effect from exactly what you mentioned. So I totally get that.
Yeah. Now I could also see like the probably the films before, like, is Apollo 13 before this movie? Sandy?
I think before, right? That would have been like
before. Yeah. So you've got some very fast paced, like, even if they've let heavy drama Tom Hanks movies. So if your girlfriend loves Tom Hanks movies, but if you go to watch this isn't the normal Tom Hanks movie, forgetting the new stuff of that era. This is something completely different. It's literally, you know, like that. So I can understand if you like Tom Hanks, you're going to watch Tom Hanks, and then you go, oh, this isn't the Tom Hanks movie I want to see. So I can understand, like, people, but like, I don't think it was well received by a lot of people. Like, it made money because I think people wanted to see a Tom Hanks movie, but I don't remember this being very well received back in the day. I just don't remember so much praise.
Really well at the box office.
Yeah, but I was saying people went to watch it. I think people, because it was Tom Hanks. You're gonna watch the Tom Hanks. This is when he's on fire. So I just think after it's one where I not dissing Jay's pick, but there are better Tom Hanks movies.
Oh, for sure. I would say that for sure. I would agree.
Yeah. So, but I like it. I like this movie, and I thoroughly recommend it. But it's just like, it's not that. I think Sandy got it right. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's missing just that. It's missing that one bit, and I don't know what it is. It's like,
I would agree.
It's missing something, and I can't put my finger on it. You know, like if it's a more background love story and it doesn't hit you too much, you know, they need to compress the isolation and make the love story more prominent. I don't know. It's just that little bit that doesn't give it to, like, ooh, that notches it to a good, great movie. And it should be, because it is a very well acted. Tom Hanks is brilliant in it. You know, all the supporting cast are good in it. Say like cinematography, really like, you know, it's just well done. It's just, push there. And it just doesn't do it. So it's a shame, but still recommend it. It's a recommendation, 100%. Yeah.
If you just look at the run up, so just because we've mentioned so many films and we've forgotten quite a few, obviously we didn't mention today. We were talking about kind of the funny ones, right? So Turner and Hooch, The Burbs, Big, The Money Pit, Volunteers. Oh my God, with John Candy, Splash. That's where I first found him. And then before that, his, bosom buddies, 37 episodes. And he had also played a few little, bit parts. But then around this time, so kind of the run up, Apollo 13 was 1995. And then he's got a movie or two or three every single year after then. Toy Story is next after that. Saving Private Ryan comes after that. You've Got Mail.
I forgot about that one.
So when was Philadelphia? Philadelphia was his first Oscar win. So when's Philadelphia?
93. So just before I started with Apollo 13, but right before Apollo 13 was Forrest Gump, and right before that was Philadelphia.
So he did kind of back to back, didn't he?
Like that was A League of Their Own, and
this was a huge run for him.
And then Toy Story 2, then The Green Mile, then Castaway. So in the span of 2 years, he's got Toy Story 2, The Green Mile, Castaway, and Band of Brothers.
Oh yeah,
all in that. Where he's
Catch Me If You Can, I think would have been around.
Where he's actually more of a producer in Band of Brothers. But and then 2 years later, Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, Polar Express. Oh my gosh! And then Cars. Remember, he's a car in
Is
Cars.
he? Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Then we forgot. Here's one we've never mentioned. The Da Vinci Code. All those Dan Browns. Then Charlie Wilson's War, which I absolutely loved because I worked in Washington during the whole initial Afghan conflict, and this was just a great film. And then Angels and Demons, and then Toy Story 3, and then it just goes on and on. Captain Phillips, Saving Mr.
Sully.
Banks, the story around Walt Disney and was Saving Mr. Banks. That was the real story of getting, was it Peter Pan produced or
Mary Poppins?
Mary Poppins, yeah.
And then Bridge of Spies was really good. I like that. And then Sully, and it just goes on and on. Greyhound, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, where he's playing Mr. Rogers. That was excellent.
That's right. I forgot about that one. I never watched it. I wanted to check that one out. It
was excellent. And on and on and on and on. And film upcoming. Let's see what's he got here. Upcoming. Nation Scheme coming in 2025. So anyway, I mean, and there's more, but there's always another one, right? There's always one more that we haven't thought of because he's just ubiquitous. Number one, he works hard, and there's a lot of quality there. There's a tremendous amount of quality there. And this is certainly one of them, and probably one that had it not been on the wheel of film, that I wouldn't have been thinking, oh yeah, I need to take a look at that. So fantastic choice.
No, I'm glad everybody enjoyed the rewatch.
I must say, when it came up, I think all of us, our eyebrows kind of went, huh? That's a weird one to put on the wheel. And it's like that. But then, I'm glad I watched it again. So that's it.
100%.
Yeah. So
awesomeness of the wheel
of film.
Well done,
Jay.
Thank you. I'm glad I didn't disappoint.
And you did the Anna Christmas one.
Yeah, we got a little taste of Christmas, a little sliver. We'll take it.
Yeah, no, it's really tiny, but we got. I say we need a Christmas one. There we go. We'll take it if we don't get one.
Yeah. Next up, like I said,
a little
next
worried.
Is so we're not going to be even close on that one.
Today's going to determine it, right?
The next one's a hard hitting Al Pacino.
Yeah, the book is on its way.
Oh, is there a book? Is that there we go?
Oh, because it's a true story. And
okay.
Yeah, I like my gritty. This is gritty. It's gonna be gritty.
Yeah, this is. I remember. I've probably seen it once or twice. I must say, and it's a very, very, very great. But is it time? Is it time?
Oh,
I believe it is.
It's time for the wheel. It's time for the wheel.
This is the one that's going to be the week before Christmas. So let's.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's got to be a Christmas story.
It is.
Come on, a Christmas story.
It's going to be here in 2 weeks,
story.
people. I am behind.
Would be great. Oh, I'm incredibly behind.
I
usually am though, so it's just kind of how I function with Christmas.
I'm usually not this behind, but I usually don't go to because Thanksgiving was so late when I went to London. It was late. I missed a week.
Yeah, I don't know what other Christmas ones we've got on there, really.
Other than Die Hard. This and Die Hard. Yeah, I can't think of
A Christmas Story and Die Hard.
Much else.
Oh my God, I'm just going to quickly scroll through, people. Catch your eye. Yeah,
we should do a special. We should do a Christmas cartoon special.
Oh my God, I just literally trying to think what it could.
Oh, by the way, did I tell you what treat I was eating today?
MASH has a Christmas bit on it, so there you go. I'm sure it does a Christmas
I didn't tell you what treat. It wasn't Kit Kats today. I was eating Quality Street for my treat.
There you go.
Do you know what Quality Street is, Jay?
I'm assuming something a lot more quality than Kit Kats. Something better that came over from England.
It came over. It's different. It's chocolates.
Multi-box.
Yeah, they're each thing is a different flavor. So like it's I just had an orange flavor, so it's chocolate covered stuff. So orange, strawberry, mint, toffee, whatever. So I had an orange and a strawberry and fudge. Yeah, it was good.
Sounds good.
They're very
they come in like a round tub. Like you used to get them in tin.
Yes,
you get tin? Did you get tin?
I got the tin.
Oh, okay. They just say the tin. I really get them tubs like most of the time.
Oh my God, you should have seen me getting on that plane. Besides all the books in my backpack, I was trying to avoid extra luggage fee, but it did go over.
Sorry.
All the books in my luggage, and then the bag of the Quality Street, all the treats my kids wanted. They wanted squashies. So I got them
Santa Claus the movie. Come on. That is my girlfriend's favorite.
I love it. Oh, the Tim Allen one?
That is the best. No, Santa Claus the movie.
Oh, I was thinking of the Santa Claus. I don't know if I've seen Santa Claus the movie.
The movie has the best Santa Claus.
I don't know that I've seen that
ever. Oh, it's
I haven't seen Santa Claus the movie. Dudley Moore.
Yeah, but he's not playing Santa Claus. He's playing one of the elves.
No,
and it's got the guy out of I can never remember his name out of Third Rock from the Sun. The older guy.
Oh God, why is his name John?
Always plays the bad guy.
Lithgow, John Lithgow.
Yeah. John Lithgow.
And then just look up Santa Claus the movie, and have a look at Santa. Whilst you're looking now, he's the best looking Santa. The best looking Santa. He looks like Santa. If you, as a kid, you had.
I don't know what this is.
Oh my! I might have to put it on the list.
What year is this?
It's like 8 or something like that.
85.
85, yeah.
And it's a British film. Okay.
It's British, yeah, British made. But yeah, this is
David Huddleston. Never heard.
Yeah, look at. Oh, you would know him from multiple. Have a look at his thing. You would realize who he is, but with the beard, he's very different. But yeah, he looks like Santa. He sounds like Santa. It's like if you had that in your head, that would be Santa. So, that might have to be. Would you put it on?
It's really I'm not familiar with
He's from Virginia. He's not a Brit. He's from Villamont, Virginia.
Look at his look at on IMDb. Look at his thing. He's the best.
Oh my God, he's played everything.
Yeah. There you go, Viper. Definitely the best Father Christmas. Yeah, he
Smokey and the Bandit, Blazing Saddles.
And then when you see him, you're like, you just like, when you like, you just want to hug Santa. That's what you feel like when you watch that movie. That just feels like, oh my God, you feel like a kid. So it's good. Watch it. A very good movie for Christmas. It was a complete flop.
Yeah, but I feel like Christmas movies don't do very well, typically, to be honest with you. I feel like they get more of like, I don't want to say cult following, but I feel like they always do better on home release, and when people can just kind of watch them and have those kind of at-home family holiday memories with them.
Love Actually. That's probably a really successful Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's set at Christmas. Yeah, it's set at Christmas.
It is set at Christmas. Christmas is the whole crux of it.
Okay, so I'm guessing we're wanting a Christmas movie, even though we've only found 2 on the list.
So we're
300. I don't like our odds. Oh yeah, right, 3. So we'll see.
There we go. Are we ready? I think we're. I think. What do I think?
I think we're gonna get.
I think we're gonna get another Tom Hanks because we went on about it.
I'm trying to think if I put any more on there, but I honestly couldn't remember the last one.
It's gonna be like something weird. It's gonna be like a horror. Yeah, it's gonna be a horror or something like that.
I just realized now Tom Hanks in Big has been on the background this entire time, right at the top of the
screen. And
Apollo
13.
Yeah,
I just realized that. No kidding.
Yeah. Come on, Back to the Future. Come on, Back to the Future.
Oh, Back to the Future. But hey, we would have 2 Bob Zemeckis in a row. That would be brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, are you ready?
Find out he did this.
Here we go.
Yep, go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Silent time.
Is there Christmas in Beverly Hills Cop? Yes. Is it there? Isn't it snow?
Maybe in one of them. I'm not sure.
Oh, wow.
Christmas in The Godfather. There is.
All right. We're getting
The Godfather.
Okay.
Oh my God. I got a very big
Christmas.
book to read.
I'm glad that it's not the Godfather. You ever seen we got 2 in there?
I don't think we have 3. I'm pretty sure. About that.
The Godfather. I saw this recently because it's great.
There's Christmas in The Godfather.
There's a book.
No.
Yep. Got to read the book.
Yep, definitely a book. And you have to read it as 1 and 2, don't you? Because I think they split the
book
films.
Is 1 and 2,
1 and 2,
right?
yeah.
The book, The Godfather, I believe Mario Puzo's work, I think it encompasses both, and it's probably in a different order. So we'll find out. We shall find out.
Okay, I can guarantee this one is going to hit the 4-hour mark.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one.
A lot to talk about. This is going to
bring your snacks, your drinks, you stretch your legs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's Christmas in it. There is.
Perfect. All right. We're around Christmas.
So
this will work.
when he gets shot, when
spoilers.
Spoilers.
And nothing says Christmas like that.
when Don Corleone is shot, he's out looking at oranges, and when he gets to the hospital, there's a Christmas tree in front of the hospital. Michael is out buying Christmas gifts, having just seen the film at Radio City Music Hall with Kate. They're walking down, they see the thing. Then the bad guys also pick up Tom. Remember, they kind of kidnap Tom. And as they're kind of negotiating the release of Tom, they're standing in front of a Christmas tree stand. So yes, there's a lot of Christmas. Yeah, I know my Godfather. They're standing in front of a Christmas tree stand. So there is Christmas.
I'm excited for this. I've seen it so many times, but I'm actually excited. Why? Because I love watching it. Really not discussed it. So this is going to be good.
Yeah, we're going to have to take it.
I haven't watched this in some time because last time I watched it was the first time I watched it. It was there was a Godfather video game that came out, and I was like a teenager at the time. Yeah, it was pretty fun too. So it got me into the series, and I watched it as a kid. Well, not kid, I was a teenager, probably like, I don't know, 16-ish, maybe 15 at the time. I'm trying to remember when the game came out. It was a good chunk of time ago. I want to say it's for the Xbox 360. So
what do you do in the game?
2005. You just kind of played through the movie as different characters and different things like that. So
interesting.
There was a Scarface one that came out too, which was a little bit different. It deterred from the movie. But it was the time of like that stuff. So I was like, I don't know, maybe middle school, early high school, getting into like all those kind of movies, mob stuff, Goodfellas, Scarface, all that kind of stuff. So I specifically remember playing the game, getting interested in the movie, watching it. So it's been, again, this is another one. It's been probably about 10, 15 years since I watched it. So this will be a fun one.
Oh, I must have watched it last month.
It comes on so frequently, but I will
say, I put it on. I did like I did a Godfather binge.
It's always just so long that I have a hard time dedicating the time to sit down and watching it. But I'm looking forward to it.
Be careful though.
I'm well overdue.
The HBO remastered version switches the chronology and includes part of Godfather 2. So don't watch the remaster.
Oh, interesting.
Because HBO kind of combined 1 and 2 and decided to do the film chronologically and starting off as Don Corleone as a kid in Corleone, like you see in Godfather 2.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Why?
As horrible as it sounds, it's not that bad. Yeah. It's not that bad because for those who are really interested in the connection to the Sicilian roots, they like to see it chronologically. So it's not bad, but it's not the Godfather. You would be seeing pieces of Godfather too. So make sure you watch The Godfather. And what I'm going to do is whip out my my little spreadsheet that I was working on actors who appeared in The Godfather, Casino, Goodfellas, Sopranos, because for all four of those, you know, what you would kind of call the cultural four, big four gangsta mob works, there are actors who have been in 3 of the 4, and there are actors who have been in every combination of 3 of the 4, but there are no actors who have been in all 4. There's a guy who claimed to have been in the background of Godfather when he had also appeared in Casino and Goodfellas and The Sopranos, but he was debunked. So, and it's interesting because there is an actor who was in the original Godfather and also in The Sopranos, like the 2 that are most far apart in real time wise. So you would think there could have been an actor in all 4, and there could have been, but there wasn't. So anyway, so I have a nice little spreadsheet that shows how many. There are so many actors who were in 3 of the 4, but no one who was in all 4. So I'm really I'm excited now. I gotta hurry up and read. I gotta hurry up and finish Serpico and then read. I got a lot of reading.
We have now 2 Sandys in a row, and now 2 Al Pacino movies in a row.
Well, this will be our 3rd of 4 Al Pacino movies, because he was just in the last one we watched as well. God, why is the name slipping my mind?
Glenn Ross.
Glenn Ross. Yep. So this will be 3 out of 4 of the last ones will be Al Pacino films.
And we've now had 2 De Niro. And yeah, we're gonna have to go through the cast. I have to update that cast chart because there's gonna be quite a few. There will be. It will be more than De Niro and Pacino, because there will be actors in The Godfather that we also saw in Goodfellas and Casino. No, we didn't do Goodfellas yet.
I've done Goodfellas yet. Oh, yeah.
But there are 2 or 3 who were in Casino and in The Godfather. So I'm excited.
I say you're a bit giddy for this one. Yeah,
I am. I'm just worried about all the reading I got to do. These are big books I got to get through.
Yeah. So on the next one, Sandy, what we got coming up? Al Pacino in
Serpico, a real life true story of a good cop who has to do some stuff to take down the bad cops, and it's quite dangerous, and it's a true story. So I hope everyone enjoys it.
And then that famous Christmas movie, The Godfather.
The Godfather. It is a Christmas film. It is.
We're taking that of it. Oh my God.
We'll take
if it's in there, we're taking it.
But it's not SCTM. What's SCTM?
Santa Claus the movie.
Okay.
No, I would recommend you both just putting it on just to get in the Christmas mood. If you've never seen it,
I gotta see if we can find it.
It's a bit outdated, but it's very. It's just a fun. It's like it feels like Santa. The movie is a bit lacking story. It could have been better. Dudley Moore. It should have been better. He was the Paul in it. Of course, at the time, what he was doing. But yeah, it should have been better story driven. But if you look at Santa feels like Santa. So that's a good thing. If you've got any young siblings in the family, put it on. They'll love it. So, but yeah, also girlfriend loves it. That's her go-to movie. That and Elf.
Interesting.
They go to, yeah.
You know, I might have a hot take here. I'm not a big fan of Elf. I know everybody loves it.
Yeah.
It doesn't do it for me.
Me too.
I don't know. It's too much Will Ferrell. I'm kind of just sick of Will Ferrell. But even at the time, Elf really didn't do too much for me. I never.
We haven't got any of his movies on the list, I think.
No. I'm a bit tired of Will Ferrell playing Will Ferrell.
I think I agree. Yeah, I think I agree.
But even at the time when Elf came out, and like it's been a big thing for years, it never did anything for me. I never got it.
Mm.
That's my side rant on Elf.
Jeez, I hate Elf.
Rant. That's a very fair rant.
Twitter go.
It's gonna have to be a hard copy of The Godfather, which I actually don't own. Unfortunately, I would have.
I might. I'm not sure. I'll have to check my
because
my
the
collection.
Audible version is the 50th anniversary annotated version, which I'm not gonna do. I want the original, so I'm gonna be looking for that very quickly. Awesome.
It's actually Godfather. I didn't actually look at Godfather 2's on our list. Because that would have been lucky if that they both are on, aren't they?
It should be. I mean, it's just as good. It's won the Oscar
Let's
as
have a
well.
look. Is Godfather 1 and 2 on?
Now, I only put Rocky 1 on the list, even though I think Rocky 2 is the better film. But
sorry, it's The Godfather, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is 1 and 2.
Yep,
there we
it
go.
should be.
So this has been quite lucky because if you go back to, we could have got Empire Strikes Back. We only got Star Wars. So the one so far, they're not giving us the wrong one. So the wheel
likes
the wheel knows.
Playing time. It's like, no, it has to be this one first before you get that one. Sorry.
Do we have the Indiana Jones trilogy on there, or is it just?
I think it's just Raiders, isn't it?
Is it just Raiders?
Yeah, I think it's just Raiders.
I actually watched that one not that long ago.
Yeah, I watched it the other day. And then,
I got that. Well, not that I got. I have PC Game Pass, so I will be checking out that Indiana Jones game. Probably streaming it. We're gonna see. We're gonna see exactly what it's all about. If it's good, bad, or not. I watched Az play a bit of it. I gotta be honest. It didn't look awful. It didn't look groundbreaking. I know that's kind of the thing we keep saying today, but it didn't look like anything groundbreaking. But it didn't look awful either. It looked
the graphics looked a bit choppy for me.
Yeah.
What I saw. Apart from that, I just saw a little bit of it, and I was like, actually, you know what? It's quite a nostalgic kind of.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm kind of interested, just to kind of get my hands on it and see for myself. It's definitely not stunning visually. You know, the animations are a little stiff, and I will say the environments are a little stiff and rigid. There's not a lot of like leaves blowing, bushes moving type of stuff. It looks a little stiff, but it didn't look awful, and that's a step up for me from what I expected. So I'm gonna check it out and see how it is.
Yeah, if they play it right. If you play indie, you're gonna like playing indie. If they keep it simple, you'll be an indie.
I will say they made a mistake going first person. It should have been a third person game because you want to see indie, like the Batman games. You want to see them. You don't want to just be in this first person. But
yes, or
let's still give it a shot.
Just switch. Let's switch.
Yeah, something. First person was kind of a weird choice for that. But what are you gonna do? We'll see.
It's cheap as. Yeah, cool. Anyway, Sandy, what you got coming up? Are you doing now UK embassies? Or...
I'm doing UK embassies. I think I probably only recorded about 25 of them while I was there, but
only Jay.
Only. And then I did complete one tube challenge. So I did the entire Northern Line. So I have film from each of the stations, many stations on the Northern Line, to go along with the previous trip when I finished the Jubilee line. So yeah, just, you know, kind of my random capturing history. And I did visit a couple of historic sites in addition to a wonderful day in Leicester. I also had a behind the scenes tour at a stately home, as they say, and at kind of an offline repository, as well as the British Library. So I did a lot of stuff. So little videos that'll come out just to document those places. And then the other thing I have coming up is Christmas. So I got to get my my rear in gear, as they say, and get myself ready for the holidays.
Yeah, same here.
Jay, what you got coming up? Besides, you're playing. So when did I? I'm sorry, did I hear a when?
So for that, for indie, I'm not sure. I think definitely, probably tomorrow. Definitely, probably. It's not the most assured way to say. Definitely, probably. I'm probably going to play some indie at least tomorrow. I was hoping to tonight, but I kind of got a few things to get ready for the work week. We got a busy week ahead, so maybe not too much tonight. But this week you can look for a couple streams. Again, busy week, so probably won't be able to do too many, but I want to get at least one in, so we'll see about that. And I need to work on a review for the first couple episodes of Creature Commandos, which is James Gunn's new animated ragtag superhero, or rather maybe super villain kind of team up, you know, thing. It's an animated thing he's doing. It kicks off his whole DCU. So spoiler alert, not great. Didn't love it, but I'm going to work on a review for that. Honestly, its most offensive issue is that it's just painfully unfunny and boring more than anything else. But yeah, so I'll get around to doing a review for that. So you can check that out at some point this week, hopefully. And popping up with streams here and there when I can. And then obviously back for Serpico on next week's Film Club.
Well, it's always good to see you playing games.
Thank you.
And you as well, James. It's awesome to watch, you know, you playing games that either would frustrate the heck out of me, or that I just wouldn't play as well. I get stuck in one genre. I was dying over the weekend. All of a sudden, I need to get back into Elden Ring again, or Souls game of some sort, just because that's my thing, and I just haven't played one in so long. I bounce back and forth between Souls games and build survival kind of games. So I'm either going to jump into Planetaries again because we were talking about it, or jump back into Elden Ring for a while.
Excellent.
And who's doing Skeleton Crew again? Who's
I'm
suffering through
not
that?
doing it. No, I think I'm done.
Stasis,
I'm done.
I took a no, sorry, I was gonna say I took a screenshot. I meant to send it into the chat for Film Club. There was a screenshot during your stream where I've never seen somebody look more painfully bored in my life while watching something, and I had such a good laugh at it at work while I had the stream on while I was doing a few things. I meant to send it, but I got sidetracked. It was too funny. He just looked so painfully bored.
It's a problem with that show. It's literally nothing. It isn't offensive. It's just not good. It's just like,
which is a step up.
I'm watching TV,
Star Wars.
Disney. They're going, just literally put something out, just make it not offensive to people. Yeah. It's like, but now you just made it boring because you don't know the premise of Star Wars. It's just like, oh god, that's the. But I think I might do a review at the end. I hate to say it, I'm just weren't interested, and I'm watching it. It didn't grab me, and it's just not interesting. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I just think it's going to be what Disney like to do lately is put it out there. Everybody forgets it and move on to the next thing. And that's the problem with Disney. They've got this idea of get something out, get it on TV, and then nobody talks about it after it's done. We can move on to the next thing. And it's just like, what are you doing? So no, if I will watch it, but I'm gonna watch it in my own time. I think I just don't. I just don't think I can bring to it. But I will miss this week because I'm doing stuff with the kid, Christmassy Lapland. So I will not be streaming till next, probably the Film Club. To be honest, it's going to be proper unavailable just with this. The hypo kid's going to be enjoying himself at a moment. So so Sandy's met him. He'll be bouncing a lot. So as you know, he likes his Christmas songs. So like that. So he loves a little bit of a 3-year-old trying to sing Jingle Bells.
He is an absolute doll. I mean, just and a good kid. What a good kid.
Yeah. So he's gonna be extremely excited on Wednesday, let's say that. So we're gonna he's gonna be a little Cheshire cat, I'm guessing. But apart from that, I won't. I've got my next movie top 10 recommendation. What's romance? So I will be doing that. That's ready for me to do it. But I don't think I'm gonna get time. If I do get time, I'd be very, very surprised. If it is, it might be Friday, but I very, very much doubt it. Very much doubt it. So just hold off until the Film Club because we're going to always be here. So apart from that, I hope everybody enjoyed Castaway. Everybody got to say Wilson a lot because I enjoyed watching it. Yeah. So again, just watch it. Just put it on. It's one. Yeah. So cool. Anything else for you guys?
Nope. Just get ready for Serpico and hope we enjoy that one too.
Hard hitting. Now we got gritty, hard hitting.
Yeah, it couldn't be on more of a whirlwind of themes.
I think we got like I wonder if we're gonna get start getting a vibe of our 3 picks. I think Sandy's gone for the drama, hard hitting, a lot of dialogue. And that's it. So we have to like that. Like we have to think. I think mine
the mob stuff is
well.
Sandy's a bit into the mob stuff too. But I've had quite a few mob movies on there. That's a bit of my genre.
There you go. So but apart from that, I hope everybody is enjoyed Film Club. I don't know if that's short. 3 hours? Is it short? It's in between. It's long enough, but
in the middle.
So I'm guessing next one's going to be.
I think we're looking at 4.
And then that's going to be 4.
Not the next one. The Godfather.
Godfather.
Serpico will probably be about 3. Godfather will probably be about 4.
Sure
I think Sandy could talk. I think you could talk for an hour for that.
I think But
and
you
can
know
we
what?
refer Sex in the City onto it? And then it's an hour and a half.
It's going to be all
Hopefully Mr. Big doesn't show up because it'll be a whole nother sidetrack.
Oh my
But
god!
I think we're all going to talk because I think it's going to be all the quotes, right?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about all the kind of rip-offs, not rip-offs, but like the ways that other films and TV shows have copied The Godfather. So
like
I think this is going to
impact
be
and all that.
one of our deeper, kind of like we did with Star Wars, right? Where we talked about parts of Star Wars that became the model for other things. I think that's where this one's going to get. I don't know. Maybe we could talk for 5 minutes and be like, we're bored. We'll see.
Yeah. And I can't wait for your podcast that you've set up today with Jay's wife and my girlfriend. So wait for episode 1 of Sex and the City coming very, very soon to a podcast near you. But from that, everybody have a great evening and we'll see you in the next film club. Bye now.
Bye.
Cheers.